What do you make of what is happening?
Well, it's significant that they are striking not just missile sites as they did.
They love scientists. Israel's favorite thing to do is Iranian academics. After chill. Trump is convening a cabinet-level meeting as Israel launched what he called preemptive strikes against Iran. A White House official and two sources familiar with plans told me and Kylie Atwood the meeting was planned before the strike, the sources said, to focus on U.S. response to developing events in Iran. Trump was seen leaving the congressional picnic at the White House shortly after 8 p.m. The White House declined to comment. Times of Israel correspondent with the IDF talking points. The IDF confirms it has launched an aerial campaign against Iran's program. Dozens of targets across Iran related to the program and other military facilities are being struck by the Israeli Air Force. It says the operation is dubbed Strength of a Lion. The IDF says Iran has enough enriched uranium to build several bombs in days. Within days. Oh my God. Since like the 90s, Iran is 3 seconds to midnight from building a weapon. They have enriched uranium. They are literally 1 day out. Sirens that sounded across Israel a short while ago were a preemptive warning issued by the IDF ahead of a possible reaction by Iran. It's so crazy because it's like U.S. regularly castigates Iran as the key threat to Middle East stability for the third, fourth, fifth time since October 7. Many in Washington are counting on Iranian restraint to prevent spiraling bloodshed across the region. And there is, of course, serious reason to doubt Tehran. Key context in the moment. Netanyahu demonstrated lack of concern for Israeli civilian life. The U.S. under both Biden and Trump declining to use this huge leverage to force restraint from Tel Aviv. Make or break moment for a new deal Israel opposes is in less than a month. It's crazy, man. Oh, yeah, I saw this list. Look. 1992, Iran is 3 to 5 years from capability. Okay. 1993, Iran is pursuing close to capability. Iran 3 to 5 years from in 1995. 1996, Iran's acquisition could be catastrophic. Deadline extremely close. Iran's program, a global threat. Iran aggressively pursuing weapons. Since 1990, Israel has released, every single year, Israel has released another statement about Iran being 5 seconds away from having a nuke. Iran is days away. Iran days away from enriching uranium for a bomb. And of course, today they struck Tehran, residential buildings. An apartment building in Tehran was torn in half as a result of Israeli missile strike. No word on the yet. Okay, this is a direct attack at civilians. Elant News says among the targets of the Israeli attacks in Iran are senior Iranian figures within the Iranian regime. They struck the capital. They struck the capital with. They struck Tehran in a densely populated civilian area, and clearly, I mean, they used some imprecise and some more precise weapons targeting capabilities. Here is one of the examples of the more precise ones that like blows up an entire apartment, just the apartment itself. Still, obviously, very dangerous for everyone else involved as well. And the reality of the matter is, if Iran were to do the exact same thing, if Iran were to respond in kind, if Iran were to think about it, imagine Iran attacking Tel Aviv and blowing up an entire apartment in the middle of Tel Aviv and an Israeli official and their families. Like, imagine what that would look like. Imagine what kind of chaos would unfold in that process. And of course, as always, as is the case when the manufacturing consent machine has to kick into high gear, notice how Naftali Bennett is on. Immediately, we get like, whether Israel is attacked or whether Israel is doing the attacking, and in usual instances is Israel doing the attacking, we immediately go to an Israeli official for the contextualization of why this attack was a necessity and why this attack was actually at the behest of defending Israel.
The whole Middle East and the world would become hell if Iran gets weapons, and then it would cascade.
I mean, he's right.
Everyone, because Turkey would want weapons, Egypt would want, everyone would want, and we'd have literally a heaven, hell in the Middle East.
But just to be clear, you do believe that Israel has the capability to destroy Iran's facilities that may be underground or otherwise hardened?
Look, I'm finished being prime minister about 3 years ago, so it's I can't tell you precisely. I certainly believe that we have the ability to destroy major parts of the program and to throw them back a lot in their race towards acquiring weapons.
Okay, going back to the debate, Zoran is talking about Gaza after he's being attacked, and I guess he had a really good statement because everyone's clapping.
Would be leading the largest public school system in the country with more than 900.
Okay, well, they moved on. I missed it. Sorry. Let's hear what they have to say.
The breadth and the scope of them from an Israeli military official.
We'll catch the clips later.
To put out some information. This was indeed a strike against Iran's program and other military targets. That military official called it preemptive,
I know I can rewind. We'll look at it later. I want to see this.
Offensive in terms of the operation itself.
Chatters,
this,
shut the fuck up.
Series of strikes, it seems, went after its program and the regime's long-range missile capabilities. Dozens, quote, dozens of targets in different areas across Iran. In terms of the reasoning behind why Israel carried these strikes out now, especially right before the U.S. and Iran were set to hold their 6th round of negotiations when it comes to trying to reach a deal, Israel believed that Iran had significantly advanced towards obtaining a weapon. According to Israel's intelligence, the military official says that Iran has been advancing its secret operation to accelerate obtaining a weapon, and that Iran, and we just heard this from former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, essentially a very similar line. Israel believes Iran has enough fusion material to create 15 within days. The Israeli military official said, quote, "We are nearing the point of no return," and that thousands of missiles have been created. This is ballistic missiles, which are an existential threat to Israel. So there you have it. And you might be able to hear that from my phone. That's the emergency alert going off, indicating that there is an alert coming in from Home Front Command. We'll take a look at that and let you know what it means in a second. But an Israeli military official acknowledging that this set of strikes, what the defense minister described as a preemptive strike, was indeed targeting Iran's facilities and its ballistic missile capabilities. In terms of what Brett McGurk has said, this was on the far more of the targets, the options Israel had at its disposal. And that means that the region has just taken a big step towards a much broader regional war that's been a concern here for such a long time. Now, of course, we wait to see how Iran retaliates for this, and we'll wait, of course, to see as the sun rises there in the next couple of hours, the damage from those strikes and how essentially how broad they were and their results.
And Orna, I just want to make sure we have the wording right on that. Direct strikes on facilities and what?
Iran's program and other military targets were the target of these strikes, quote, dozens of targets in different areas across Iran.
Okay. Oren, continue to gather information. I'm here with Jim Shudo. We're also going to bring in
one of the targets per foreign sources, scientists.
Jim, what do you make of what is happening?
Well, it's significant that they are striking not just missile sites as they did.
They love scientists. Israel's favorite thing to do is Iranian academics. After children, that's Israel's second favorite thing to do. Okay, is to Iranian scientists. Breaking: Israel has detected missile launches from Iran. There's chatters in Tehran and Iran saying that they're hearing that there is potentially some retaliatory strikes coming. War with Iran. The defense establishment detects launches towards Israel. They love doing what is it called, a scholasticide as well. Explosions reported in towns in Fordo. Iran's major. Wait, really? So they're targeting facilities and scientists and potentially like military command. But in any case, is this very different from previous missile exchanges between the two? I mean, it's larger. Israel has never directly struck Iran with this level of intensity. Since this last skirmish, since like post October 7, they have struck Iran before, but this is the largest. This is the largest premeditated escalation coming from Israel beyond like striking an Iranian embassy compound in Syria. Senior Israeli official, high probability that Iran's chief of staff was eliminated. Israel has also canceled school and all non-essential activity, knowing full well that they were going to hit Iran and then Iran was going to retaliate. And now more American tax dollars struck Iran. American munitions struck Iran. Now more American tax dollars and American defensive capabilities will defend Israel because Iran will understandably retaliate. So that's where we're at. Secretary Rubio is too busy gargling Benjamin Netanyahu and the entire Israeli war cabinet's dick, saying, tonight Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear. Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel. Bullshit. Israel does not do anything without America's go-ahead. Israel does not do anything. I cannot stress this enough. Israel is America's weapon to wield in the region. Make no mistake. This is peaceful Dawn, okay? This is peaceful Donnie saying, go ahead, strike Iran. Maybe it'll give us a better position in the agreement, okay? It is bullshit. America offers additional targeting capabilities that Israel might not have. America already gives the weapons. America already gives the munitions. And America's defensive shield against Iranian retaliation is what gives Israel the confidence to behave this way and put the lives of their entire danger. Okay? So for all the Israeli chatters in here right now, remember that. I'm sure you're already aware of it. But remember that, tell your parents, tell your neighbors, it is Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government's own personal ambition and America's go-ahead and America's targeting that has allowed this to happen. So whatever kind of retaliation that comes from Iran as an act of understandable self-defense, it will literally happen because America and the Israeli government does not give a f- about anyone. Clearly, America cares more about its own soldiers, at least, and its own like embassy staffers and shit, because they knew this was going to happen. Clearly, they've been planning this. This kind of military action doesn't happen overnight. It obviously is planned ahead of time. That's precisely the reason why, suspiciously, America was moving its embassy personnel away from Kuwait, Bahrain, and also moving its troop positions away. Israel is doing this. Israel is doing this with America's go-ahead, with America's knowledge. Make no mistake. Don't let anybody tell you like, oh, Israel controls America. That's not the fucking truth. Israel's not behaving as a separate entity here. Operation expected, according to Manny Fabian, the Israeli military expects this operation against Iran's nuclear program and long-range missile capabilities to last for several days. The IDF is preparing for heavy fire from Iran in response to its airstrikes tonight. At the end of the operation, there will be no nuclear threat. We are in the window of strategic opportunities. We have to reach the point of no return, and there is no choice but to act now, IDF officials say. It's suicidal. It's just suicide. Israel is a suicidal, genocidal, fascist country. Fascism is a death cult. Israel will literally bring everyone down with it. Either it will complete its genocide in the region, directed by the American government, or it will bring everyone down with it. Truly a cancerous government. CNN also confirming, Oren Lieberman reports that the sources say this is not going to be a one-day attack as suspected the last several days. First statement from the Trump admin emphasized the lack of U.S. involvement. America's such pussy cowards, by the way. The American government are such cowardly little dogs, for the record. They are so weak. They're so weak. They're such pieces of shit. Okay? First, they attack some of the most vulnerable internally, some of the most vulnerable citizens in this country, some of the most vulnerable people living on U.S. soil, undocumented migrants. They try to sick the goddamn military on people who understandably don't want their neighbors to be black-bagged and kidnapped, taken away from their families, away from their places of business. Then they turn around and do this pussy-ass bullshit like, oh, we're not involved. What do you mean we're not involved? Of course we're involved. There is no world where Israel operates like this, because guess what? if you didn't like what Israel was doing, you would tell them to stop. Okay? You would come out. You wouldn't even have to come out. You would just make one phone call and be like, what are you talking about? You're going to strike Iran. Get the fuck out of here. So if you are Iran in the situation, and you have seen, as every other regional actor has seen, that Israel only responds to violent retaliation that actually causes them to second guess how restrained they must be and how little they must do in retaliation, you have to retaliate. Like, from their perspective, they leave no choice but violent retaliation. Very rare L take. Why is this a very rare L take? Can you explain why the U.S. is so insistent on claiming not to be involved? Feels like unnecessary PR when you make the point that the U.S. is, of course, involved. The reason why they're saying that is because I think they don't want Iran to attack American bases and, like, I don't know, hurt America's logistical capabilities in the region. Or if Iran does attack American bases, then America can say, see, they attacked us without us attacking them, okay? And then if Iran does actually end up attacking American bases, they go, oh, well, we have no choice but to join the war. Yes, strikes between two major powers. Let's pause for a Twitch chatter's perspective. What is happening? I do that regardless. They want the attack, but they know the voting populace doesn't want here at home. It's performative for both defense and electoral reasons. Yeah. That's the other side of it as well, because I believe there is it is one of the least favorable positions that any party could engage in. Americans widely, at least until this, the military task force, the Middle Eastern task force kicks into high gear and starts manufacturing consent. The American position is, the American appetite for going to war with Iran is unimaginably low. Unimaginably low, for understandable reasons. Why the would anybody want to go and die for Israel's genocidal campaign? Are you out of your mind? Would you be down for that? Do you think that's good? Of course not. Yeah, Israeli military official says Israel striking dozens of sites across Iran in an operation called Rising Lion. Israeli military official told Reuters the operation could take a long time and is also targeting Iranian commanders. They're trying to kill Iranian nuclear, they're trying to kill nuclear scientists. They're trying to kill military commanders, and they're trying to pummel the underground nuclear facilities that are deep underground. And as far as we know, Israel does not have the capability of striking. They've destroyed one residential apartment complex, and they've also done a more precise, targeted strike on another residential apartment. Like, you know, those bombs that they use, like the super precise ones that only take out the entire apartment, but not like the whole building, just one floor. They did one of those. Yeah, I mean, the timing is perfect. Yes, it's also not exactly a mystery for Israel to do this right on the heels of Netanyahu's government barely squeaking via vote to disband the Knesset, and the opposition was planning to try again, being 2 votes away. And the reason for that disbanding that's taking place is because secular forces in Israel want the Haredi population, which is numerous, just large in size, and also the largest growing faction in the country, to serve in the military, to serve in the Israeli occupying force, especially at a time when there is a tremendous amount of reservists that are refusing to go back and do another tour of ethnic cleansing. And it's not even on humanitarian grounds. There are, however, some Israeli soldiers that say, I don't want to do, I've had my fill of genocide. You know, there's only so much children I can murder. Having said that, however, plenty of people are just up. They're wounded, they're up. They just literally don't want to get smoked by an 18-year-old wearing Adidas, okay? So they don't want to go back into Gaza. So, given that there is a little bit of a crisis in the number of reservists that they can deploy into Gaza to continue killing children, they have to deploy the Haredi population and then try to quickly train them and bring them into the Israeli occupying force. The Haredi population is the Orthodox population. For those of you who don't know, they usually get a religious exemption. by the secular forces within Israeli society. The Haredi population are seen as lazy, uneducated, welfare queens that don't actually give anything to Israel. Remember, we look at the Israeli occupying force, understandably, as a exterminationist force, but within Israeli society, most Israeli liberals and everyone else involved considers the IDF to be a force of good and a secular force in general, like a liberal force, a force actually for defense. You hit UGBs. Israel has reportedly been able to modify F-15s to carry the GB-57 MOP, which Trump approved for transfer to Israel. These can hit the sites given some tight modifications. Netanyahu does a 7
moments ago.
Oh, wow. Notice how it's in English? Oh, interesting. Okay, well, we know who the audience is. That's just so strange. So strange that Benjamin Netanyahu would deliver a 7-minute address to the nation in English. I'm sure there's a Hebrew one as well. But let's take a look.
Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons.
Bro, what are you saying? You're doing a genocide, like literally, not words, okay? This is the thing that frustrates me to no end. When motherfuckers that are in the process of doing a genocide, like war criminals, like actually designated war criminals for the crime of genocide, by the way, in a state that is currently doing an ethnic cleansing campaign and also conducting this ethnic cleansing campaign with a full-blown internet shutdown. There is no internet in Gaza right now. Okay, they've greatly escalated their conquest in North Gaza for a permanent occupation, and we don't even have information coming out of Gaza right now because they've shut off the internet. It's a full-blown blackout in Gaza since yesterday. This motherfucker, on the one hand, is saying that Iran is using genocidal language while he's doing a genocide, and also desperately trying to open up another front. It is so psychotic. Why aren't normies more openly upset with Israel? This is comic book levels of evil. I think people have just checked out. A lot of people have checked out. They just don't like Israel, and they don't want to even think about it.
In recent years, Iran has produced enough highly enriched uranium for 9 atom bombs. 9. In recent months, Iran has taken steps that it has never taken before. Steps to weaponize this enriched uranium. And if not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year. This is a clear and present danger to Israel's very survival. 80 years ago, the Jewish people were the victims of a Holocaust perpetrated by the...
Oh my God, bro. What the fuck? Dude, you are doing a Holocaust right now. And not even to the perpetrators of the Holocaust. Like, you're literally, oh my God, brother, Jesus Christ. This guy will literally bring up the fucking Holocaust in like a traffic incident. You know what I mean? Holy fuck. It's just like everything. Yeah, I'm assuming he's going to hit October 7 right after this, obviously. First, he's going to talk about the Holocaust. Then he'll be like, and then remember October 7, which was kind of like a Holocaust, you know, but not what we are doing currently, which is literally also infinitely closer than October 7 to a real live streamed Holocaust.
Nazi regime. Today, the Jewish state refuses to be a victim of a nuclear Holocaust perpetrated by the Iranian regime. Now, as Prime Minister, I've made it clear time and again, Israel will never allow...
Damn, that's kind of anti-Semitic. You're right, man. Yes, I'm being an anti-Semite for saying that Benjamin Netanyahu weaponizes the memory of the most horrific act of violence perpetrated against Jewish people in an effort to literally justify his bloodlust against people who are not even fucking related to the Holocaust in any meaningful capacity, except for currently experiencing the modern version of one.
For our annihilation, to develop the means to achieve that goal. Tonight, Israel backs those words with action. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear weaponization program. We targeted Iran's main enrichment facility in Natanz. We targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. We also struck at the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program.
The latest death toll stands at 62,614 Palestinians. How is this comparable to the Holocaust? 62,000 is a Holocaust. What number of dead Palestinian children will you actually, at which point will you say it is just like the Holocaust? Is there a finite amount? Is there a number that'll satisfy your appetite for this comparison? You fucking animal. I mean, you were probably saying this a couple months ago, being like, oh, it's 40,000. Now it's 62,000. And by the way, that is a severe underestimation, okay? That is the most conservative estimation. That is just directly killed and logged in a hospital. Millions is way different. Oh, my Lord. It is a fucking genocide, okay? It is a genocide. And the systematic death and destruction and starvation campaign basically puts this at the equivalent, not of the totality, not the total number of murdered, of course, because the Holocaust was completed, okay? Except, technically, you being a fucking Nazi-style Holocaust denier for the current ongoing Holocaust would probably say, well, not all Jews died in the Holocaust, so 6 million, yeah, but that doesn't mean every single Jew died, right? Is that because that's what you're doing with the Palestinians here? There's a reason why the prosecution of genocide revolves around intent, because looking at the collective, looking at the totality of deaths means that we're far too late, okay? Imagine if you talked like that, chatter, about the Armenian genocide, people would be up your ass like crazy. Exactly. Yo, Haas, Iranian chatter here. They also hit an Iranian streamer's house who is also one of your fans. His Twitch ID is Cena Crash. He posts a video on Telegram. I can share it if you want. Wait, what? Like, can you imagine fucking saying it's only 20,000 children that Israel has killed? Like, shut the fuck up. Like, only 62,000. Majority, overwhelming majority, women, children, and the elderly have been assassinated, at least directly assassinated with bullets or bombings by the Israeli state. That has been calculated. That number does not factor in all of the people that die because the entire healthcare system was also collapsed by the Israeli state. And people just didn't have access to medication or access to the normal medical care that they would require. This does not factor in the deaths of famine and famine-related diseases, deaths of malnutrition. How many images of starving children do you have to see that is identical to the Holocaust, by the way, like the kids in the fucking death camps? Identical, one-to-one, verbatim comparison, direct comparison, until you go, yeah, this is a genocide. It's actually pretty fucked up. Maybe Israel should stop. There are tens of thousands of bodies under the rubble that will never be recovered because Israel usually does double tap strikes when people are trying to recover bodies.
Last year, Iran fired 300 ballistic missiles at Israel. Each of these missiles carries a ton of explosives and threatens the lives of hundreds of people. Soon, those missiles could carry a nuclear payload, threatening the lives not of hundreds, but of millions. Iran is gearing up to produce 10,000 of those ballistic missiles within 3 years. Now just imagine 10,000 tons of TNT landing on a country the size of New Jersey. This is an intolerable threat. It too must be.
Again, a hypothetical attack on Israeli soil justifies Israel preemptively, and by their own estimation, preemptively fucking bombing Tehran. Imagine if Iran understandably, looking at what Israel has done so far in the region to every single country, including Iran, turned around and said, listen, we have to do a preemptive strike on Knesset members in the middle of Tel Aviv. It doesn't matter how many people we kill, because what are you going to do? We don't want Israel's doing a genocide right now. We don't want that genocide to come to our backyard as well. And they just fucking glassed Tel Aviv. Obviously, everyone would be disturbed by this, right? Everyone would be fucking righteously angry about this unimaginable death and destruction. But when Israel does it, it's totally fine, you know?
Iran is now working on what it calls the new plan to destroy Israel. You see, the old plan failed. Iran and its proxies tried to encircle Israel with a ring of fire and to attack us with the horrible attack of October 7th. But the people of Israel, the soldiers...
There it is. He said, Holocaust, October 7, we have to do 1 million Holocausts to everyone around us now.
Of Israel rose like lions to defend our country. We crushed Hamas, we devastated Hezbollah, we hit Iranian proxies in Syria and Yemen. And when Iran directly attacked us twice last year...
Yeah, according to a Harvard dataset study, the IDF estimates the population still alive in Gaza is 1.85 million. The population pre-October 7 was 2.2 million. Obviously, a big chunk of that number also is people who fled the Gaza Strip, who were allowed to flee the Gaza Strip. But the number of total deaths is far larger than 62,000. Make no mistake.
We struck back inside Iran itself. Yet in defending ourselves, we also defend others. We defend our Arab neighbors.
Israel shot a fucking Palestinian child in the neck at one of those supposed GHF aid sites. A little boy. I'm not obviously going to show you the image because it's horrifying. I've seen it already, and it's a TOS violation. They shot him in the neck, a little boy who was trying to go to the GHF site, knowing full well that, you know, they've been killing people at the site every single fucking day, but he still took a gamble to save the lives of his family. And a sniper trained its sights on this little boy and shot him in the neck and killed him. Felix says, I'm praying for Ansarallah to find a stash of tridents, and I'm praying for a Haredi riot against the draft and the concept of literacy.
They too have suffered from Iran's campaign of chaos and carnage. Our actions against Iran's proxy Hezbollah led to the establishment of a new government in Lebanon and the collapse of Assad's murderous regime in Syria. The peoples of those two countries now have a chance for a different future, a better future. So too do the brave people of Iran, and I have a message for them. Our fight is not with you.
Yeah, it's with your children. Our fight is with your children. We're gonna kill your children. You have babies, and everyone knows Tehran has babies of Hamas and Hezbollah.
Our fight is with the brutal dictatorship that has oppressed you for 46 years. I believe that the day of your liberation is near. And when that happens, the great friendship between our two ancient...
Yeah, when he fucking said that, by the way, he said this about the Palestinians. He's like, our fight is not with you. Our fight is with Hamas. We all know who the fight was with, okay? Bro, what the fuck are you saying? Bro, do you not hear what the fuck he's saying?
Ancient peoples will flourish once again. I want to assure the civilized world, we will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons. And Iran plans to give those weapons, nuclear weapons, to its terrorist proxies. That would make the nightmare of nuclear terrorism all too real. The increasing range of Iran's ballistic missiles would bring that nuclear...
Dude, I mean, I don't think any part of the civilized world is actually civilized because of its contributions to Israel's genocide. But Israel definitely is not civilized. You know what I mean? I think Israel is so uncivilized that it is basically showcasing how uncivilized every other Western nation is to its own citizens at this point that are paying a little bit of attention to how much how much they are defending Israel's barbaric actions.
Nuclear nightmare to the cities of Europe and eventually to America. Remember, Iran calls Israel the small Satan. It calls America the great Satan. And this is why for decades it's led millions in the chance of death to Israel and death to America.
Yeah, I wonder why, dude. I wonder why. I mean, are they wrong? We are literally the big Satan. I know this is a tough concept to grasp for Americans living in the comfort of their own suburbs, but close your eyes for a moment and imagine the most powerful force on the planet. It would have to be like an alien force with superior technology at this point, because there's no more powerful force in America. Just consistently fucking destroying, consistently wiping out other countries in the region, and then, or even using like Canada to, with regular frequency, blow up parts of America. You have no retaliation. What would you think about that alien force? You would think that they are the greatest evil of all time. You would unite in arms. You would say death to that alien force every fucking day. Okay, dude, stop. Why are you sending me shit like this, man? Fucking Christ. Mods, ban that chatter. Are you fucking stupid? Jacobin writer Branko says, Israel's completely out of control. This attack on Iran is coming while Israel is not just continuing a nearly 2-year-long genocide in Gaza, but still bombing Lebanon and illegally occupying a large part of Syria. That's 4 different wars simultaneously. Yes. The speech by Netanyahu, the preemptive sirens, they want this to be the start of the final war, the ultimate war they have been preparing for ages, that will realign the entire Middle East under Israeli subjugation. There has never been a more pliant president for this. Yeah. This is decades in the making. This is Israel's final ambition in the region. And it's not just Israel's final ambition, because grand design in the region. And here we are. Trita Parsi from Quincy Institute says this was not a preemptive attack on Iran alone. This was Israel preemptively seeking to kill Trump and America's chance to secure a deal with Iran that prevents both an Iranian bomb and was with Iran. No other ally of the U.S. behaves like this. Yeah, no other ally of the U.S. behaves like this, because Israel is not just an ally of the United States. It is a part, an extension of the United States. When Netanyahu raised possible attacks on Iran in Monday's call, 2 U.S. officials said Trump responded that he would like to see diplomacy run its course before turning to military options. I can totally fucking say, Hasan, I'm at your house. Don't freak out. Okay. Why would I freak out? Wait, why are you here? Oh, fear ended an upload. Okay. Yeah, this is not just, this is America's grand design in the region. I think it's dumb. I don't think it's, okay, shit. There's a streamer near the blast.
آها بچه ها چی بود؟
That's so fucked up, dude.
وای بچه ها چیه بچه ها صدا چیه اینجا یه چیزی بم زدن بمبارونه بچه ها من قصد میکنم اینجا رو بمبارون کردن وای دارم سکته میکنم وای وای داره دست و پا میلرزه وای
She's saying they're raining bombs. I feel like I'm having a heart attack. Translation, boys say, what happened? Did they bomb? Did the bomb hit? Boys, I'm shaking. She said my hands are shaking. Just unbelievable evil, by the way. Not terrorism, by the way. What Israel's doing is not considered terrorism. Per CNN Axios correspondent Barak Ravid, there are very high chances that several senior Iranian military commanders, including the chief of the military staff and lead nuclear official, were eliminated. Trump is such a fucking pussy, dude. He's evil, but he's also a pussy. Like, while this is, while America gives the go-ahead for actions such as this one, the calculation of letting Israel do this is coming from a place of fear, okay? While he controls the cards, he is still clearly fearful of losing support from the Israeli lobby or massive massive amounts of money that he's gotten from Miriam Adelson. Like, they're able to convince him that this is the appropriate thing to do. He's such a surrounded by moronic military officials who also think this is great and this is smart. He's both evil enough not to care, evil enough to think that this is appropriate measures, but also weak enough to not make up his own mind. Is it just Tehran they're bombing? No. They're also bombing the nuclear facilities as well. Man, glass it all and be done with it. I can't tell you what I think should be done with you. You can say this and probably avoid getting a fucking site-wide ban, even though you're a genocidal freak. And I can't even fucking respond in kind. I can't even tell you openly what I think should be done to you and your family so that maybe one day you can understand how careless you are about the lives of others. You know? I can't. I can think it, though. Yeah, the Natanz nuclear facility, I don't know if this is real or not, but the likelihood is increasing that Israel eliminated the top echelon of the Iranian military. Mossad is also believed to have carried out a number of operations in Iran, says Amit Segal from N12 News. Second rain of Israeli missiles are now flying over Iraq, Iran, and about to be hit again, but with way more bombs, according to Middle East Observer. Oh, will Iran declare war? I don't know. But the reality of the matter is, if this is a final push, and it seems like it could be, then like Iran is backed into a corner, because if it doesn't fucking retaliate at all, or if its retaliation is restrained, and clearly its retaliations in the past were restrained, that kind of demonstration of restraint did not win them any favors with America. They also saw the United States of America literally fuck over Hamas in the process of the Gulf arrangements that Trump was making while he was in the region, while he was doing his Middle Eastern tour. They went to Hamas directly. They did a back channel agreement, sidestepping Israel. This showed a little bit of promise for incredibly desperate people at this point, that maybe Trump would be reasonable enough to stop Israel if these forces were to show that they were willing to cooperate. They released Edan Alexander, the Israeli American soldier from the Israeli occupying force, a prisoner of war, with nothing in return. They only simply got assurances from Steve Witkoff, assurances that Steve Witkoff did not actually follow through on. I think that played a role in Iran's calculation as well, that like America is fully invested in the continuation of Israel's ethnic cleansing and fully invested in Israel attacking whoever it wants to, Iran being the big prize here. Iran has been Israel's final ambition, its biggest conquest, its biggest prize in perpetuity. It is the most powerful force in the region that is not within the periphery or influence, within the umbrella of American control. So from America and Israel's calculation, Iran is the most significant actor. But because it's the most powerful one, and not just like a brigade or a non-state military actor like Hamas or Hezbollah, or a civil faction that won the civil war, that is aligned with Iran, like the Ansar Allah movement, comprised of the Zaidi Shia family of Houthis in Yemen. Iran presents a significant threat to both America and Israel's interests in the region. However, because of its power, they can't actually react in the same way that they do to Hezbollah, or react in the same way that they have to Hamas or the Palestinian population as a whole. But this is precisely the reason why Iran is left with the calculation of either continued restraint, which has only increased Israel's hostility, or a real retaliation that will incur penalties for Israel and the Israeli government. I don't know what will happen. I don't know. I suspect that it will be a more significant response than the previous one, but who knows? Tonight, Israel took, I already covered this. It's fucking bullshit. America is saying we are not involved over and over again so that Iran doesn't fucking retaliate against American troops or American positions in the region. That's the reason why they keep saying it. And I mean, if you have a limited time window to fucking respond back, and you're Iran, you would probably attack Israel instead of American facilities anyway. But if they were to, in the process, attack American bases or American families and kill Americans, this will create an opportunity for America to say, see, we were not involved with Iran at all, and they attacked us first. We have no other choice but to go to war with Iran at the behest of Israel, of course. I suspect it's a nefarious propaganda purpose it serves the role of propaganda to try to get Americans on board with going to war with Iran. And the reason why they have to do this is because no one in America has appetite for going to war with Iran.
Days. I want to bring in Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon, who sits on the Foreign Relations Committee and is joining me tonight. Thank you, Senator, for being here. Can I just first get your reaction to what we are seeing play out in Iran tonight?
Absolutely what we've been expecting for several days. All the signs were there. We were removing all of our personnel from Iraq. We were keeping forces stationed in the area. The president was making kind of vague statements about the possibility.
Can Iran win any support from Europe in any way? Fuck no.
Kaylin, what really strikes me here is this is a tragedy that never had to be. I just think it's worth reminding folks that we would still be under very severe restrictions on Iran's nuclear program had we stayed in the JCPOA agreement. They had to put 97% of their nuclear materials outside the country.
Who's the streamer I was talking about?
They proceeded to cap on enrichment was a little over 3% as compared to 90% necessary for a nuclear weapon.
Oh my God, they're all talking about how necessary this was. Oh my God. Receive video, their streamers, Mr. Sina Rahimi near Amirabad.
این خونمونه. طبقه 3 ما بودیم. نیست و نابود شده. فقط اتاق خواب سالم موند که ما توش بودیم. من وسایلمو برداشتم. داریم میریم. ولی سالمیم. خودمون زنده ایم با اینکه نیست و نابود.
This is their account, Sina Crash. Exactly. I don't think that's Israel played to drag the U.S. into this won't work. The American people, the boots, are not going to be down. It's not a 0% possibility Israel will have to do this more on their own than they planned. Well, considering that Israel doesn't do anything without America's go-ahead, I suspect that the Israel Defense Force is calling up thousands of reservists at this time. Another wave of Israeli strikes on Iran reportedly have began 6-7 minutes ago. Of course, just got to push Ynet on how following the orders from Interior Command, Tel Aviv Pride will be canceled and thought, fuck, horrors and all. What an unserious country we are. Yeah. Oil is up 8% already as of 30 minutes ago. He says, guys, me and someone else are fine. This is my house. We were on the 3rd floor. We're okay, even though our life is gone and destroyed. Unconfirmed, but Israeli sources tell me that the Iranian president... Okay, bro, come on. Don't send me unconfirmed shit. Buy cryptocurrency ASAP. No, it'd all be bullshit. Don't worry. Nothing will happen like last time. All the shit before GTA 6. Selfish bastards. Nothing will happen. Just chill out. They don't want no smoke. Let them kill each other. Who cares? Brilliant. The Knesset potentially dissolving over the Haredi IDF, the Haredi draft into the IDF is a point of pressure for Benjamin Netanyahu, not because he is going to lose his grip of power and possibly go to jail, and he's very scared of that. I'm sure that's a personal ambition that he has. But if the Knesset dissolves over that, over internal political turmoil, then Israel can't conduct his ethnic cleansing campaign, and Israel can't use this last opportunity to fucking strike Iran. That is why I think the timing of the Knesset dissolvement over the Haredis being forcibly conscripted into the IDF was what accelerated Israel's attacks. What accelerated Israel's attacks was because if the Knesset dissolved, then then Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't have the same power or has any power at all to conduct any sort of military campaign. At which point America's ambitions in the region would be thwarted as well. Yeah, I saw Israeli security officials claim that along the strikes, the Mossad carried out numerous assassinations in the heart of Iran. Piran Shar from western Iran. Israeli strikes reportedly hit Iranian ballistic missile bases. Game on. Pray for Israel. Bro, I don't understand. Yeah, I'm praying for Israel. Okay? I won't say in which direction. What do you mean pray for Israel? Israel attacks Iran and we still have to pray for Israel? What the fuck's going on? Israel attacks people. Oh no, they're the victim. Incredible stuff. Oh, we're wall acting out of nowhere amidst on a captive population bombing Lebanon. Sorry. I was tweeting out something. Oh yeah. This is fucking incredibly stupid. I think it's despicable. I hate our politicians so much. No protest today? Bro, what do you mean no protest today? Do you understand what's going on right now? America should not be pressuring Israel to show restraint against Iran. We should be working to stop Iran's nuclear drive. This has been 2011. Yeah, I mean, he's always been a fucking pro-bombing Iran kind of guy. This is why I got so annoyed with dumbasses that kept claiming that he was like a restrained individual, you know? That he was somehow going to do things differently. He was a peaceful dove. Great peaceful dove, right, by the way. APAC issues text alert. Israel has hit targets in Iran. Jewish state declares state of emergency in anticipation of Iranian missiles and drone response. America must stand with our ally as it takes action to protect its families. Whoa. Multiple official U.S. statements denying any involvement with Israeli attacks on Iran. Absent rapid, decisive measures against Israel by Washington, such statements will rightfully be dismissed as smoke and mirrors. I mean, they did do rapid and decisive statements. Except they did those rapid and decisive statements in the direction of edit your tweet. The rapid and decisive statements that they made was in the direction of allowing Israel to do
where
that.
Everybody is in the region, what people are going to do, and then trying to do the bomb damage assessment as well on what has been wiped out in Iran and how does that affect their ability to fight back.
Beth Sander, thank you for joining us tonight on the Breaking News. Also here, Brett McGurk, the former White House coordinator for the Middle East and North Africa under President Biden. And Brett, I heard you talking earlier about, waiting to see what it was exactly that Israel was targeting. I mean, we now know that it's key parts of the nuclear program, it's nuclear scientists, it's top military commanders in Iran. Some of them, they believe they were successful in eliminating. What do you make of what we've learned so far?
Yeah, Caitlin, what I make of this new reporting is that the Israelis may have had an opportunity, they thought. Some of these intelligence operations, you can only execute them if you actually have everybody in the same room. In any case, what I see Israel doing here, they're really throwing the kitchen sink at Iran. This is a Mossad operation, clearly. This is an air operation. It's targeting missile commanders, leading military commanders, nuclear facilities. I have one open question about the effectiveness of the attack on the nuclear side. I mentioned this earlier. There's a deeply underground enrichment facility called Fordo. Very difficult for the Israelis to target that. And if you don't, that means Iran can continue to enrich uranium and eventually produce weapons-grade uranium. So big question on Fordo. The number one thing that the White House would be thinking about right now, having been in the seat here not long ago, is trying to keep the United States out of this. I thought that statement was actually pretty good, saying that we had nothing to do with this. Do not come after us.
Yeah, don't protect them then. Don't protect them. Don't protect them. Turn the cruisers around. First of all, don't use the Iraqi airspace then. Who controls the Iraqi airspace that Israel flew over to attack Iran? Like, how did that happen? Oh, that wasn't our involvement. I don't know. They just, oops, we just looked the other way, I guess. How did that happen? Like, the idea that this is like completely outside of our involvement, how could this have happened? Who could have foreseen this? Like, is so fucking stupid. Who believes this? Who fucking believes this? God damn. Do we have another CNN link? This one's busted. CNN anchors keep asking guests how America should protect Israel. Why don't they ever ask why we should protect them? The media pushes the Israel as victims narrative, even as Israel bombs these 3 sovereign countries and commits genocide. Yeah.
Of barrages, about 30 missiles apiece. Again, on October 1st of last year, we had 200 ballistic missiles in the sky at the same time heading for Israel. That entire flight from Iran to Israel takes 13 minutes, and there's only a period of minutes when they're in range to be hit, deflected, to try to protect the people of Israel. I cannot overstate how serious that kind of situation is. We were very fortunate in that attack to largely defeat it. There were no Israeli casualties. So here we have to see. I think Iran will try to do something like that in scale. Whether or not they can pull it off, if they're in some disarray, that remains to be seen. On the nuclear facilities, though, again, big question here is Fordo, because if you don't remove that enrichment facility and those centrifuges, Iran still has the capacity to produce weapons-grade uranium, and you have not resolved the problem. I think that is a big open question here.
Yeah, it is, as long with several others, including how the U.S. is going to respond to this. Brett McGurk, thank you for being with us tonight. I want everyone to stay with us. We are continuing to follow this breaking news as we are learning more by the minute about what the full scope of this attack by Israel against Iran looks like, how the United States is responding tonight, and what we are hearing out of the White House. We'll be back after a quick break.
On the season finale of
something about Thailand that seemed very welcoming to me.
Dude, look at this fucking asshole, dude. Look at these fucking douchebags, dude. Look at this is what Fox News is running with right now. Ted Cruz is on Fox News saying, I want every one of your viewers to know if you're a person of faith, you need to pray for Israel.
Tonight, I want to say to every one of your viewers, please.
Oh, I'm praying.
If you're a person of faith,
I'm praying.
Pray for Israel.
Oh, we're all
for
praying.
Jerusalem tonight. And let me say also, pray for U.S. servicemen and women in the Middle East, in harm's way. And I want to give a message.
Once an election cycle starts going, Bennett starts his campaign, and Bibi's just not as big as a fish. Right now, he has a tense, perfect storm of 68 majority where everyone can do their own flavor of fascism without losing too much politically. I've said for a long time, this is what might have brought this coalition down, because it was never going to be the opposition. With his bloc's polling at its lowest in recent memory, he needs the endless escalation to numb the tensions in his cabinet. And remember, the tensions in his cabinet are only a problem as far as the continuation of America's grand design in the region. Israel has to maintain its stability. The Knesset must maintain its power so that Israel can continue conducting its ethnic cleansing. It's not like some people will look to that and say, oh, no, this is Benjamin Netanyahu's personal ambition to remain in power and not go to jail, which I'm sure, like I said, is a personal motivation of his, for sure. But in the grand scheme of things, the largest fear that America has to maintain Israel's stability is so they can continue doing exactly this. That's why Benjamin Netanyahu was able to do this before Trump's birthday military parade. Under no other circumstance would someone as fucking narcissistic as Donald Trump would allow a foreign country that we have full control over to fuck up his big, beautiful day, okay? There's no other world. The only reason why it is happening right now is because there are real fears of the coalition falling apart. While everyone is waiting and prepared for us to attack Syria, maybe we should knock the hell out of Iran and end their nuclear capabilities. Oh, let's see what Fox News is presenting. I'm sure it's some reason. Oh, wait, Trey is like unironically a reasonable party usually.
Israel, how many tens of thousands of rockets can Israel continue to withstand from so many different sources?
No,
at this point tonight, we don't know the fallout. I would expect it's going to be fierce.
Say it
I would
ain't
also
so.
That the Israelis, knowing Prime Minister Netanyahu for 30 years as I do, they will be prepared. The IDF is prepared to battle this war on all fronts if needed. And I'm sure the United States will, at the right time, engage if needed. Trey Yanks, thank you, in Israel tonight. Also, the IDF is mobilizing thousands of reservists after striking Iran's nuclear program in what is being described as so.
Yeah, ain't nobody talking about Iran's capability of fucking penetrating every single piece of the Israeli defense technology that exists, as they demonstrated last time in their incredibly restrained response to previous Israeli escalations, both in the embassy strike with the first wave of drones that was much more limited, and when Israel actually exploded Ismail Haniyeh, the principal negotiator and the chief of the Politburo wing of Hamas, the civil governance division that Israel was literally negotiating with directly, when they killed him in Tehran, okay? And the Iranian retaliation that came after that, the warranted retaliation that came after that, showed Israel and the rest of the world that Iran has the direct capability of launching missiles from Tehran, from all different parts of Iran, and strike Tel Aviv, okay? This is an important fact to remember. Now, I don't know how much work has been put in to beef up not just the Iron Dome, but all of Israel's anti-defense capabilities since then. But it seems like Israel is at least confident enough in the defense capabilities of both the Israeli state and also all of the coalition partners in the region that will also work to intercept Iranian missiles, whether that be Jordan, Saudi Arabia, or any number of different Gulf nations, or the allied forces under the banner of, or the U.S. Central Command. Islamic Republic of Iran state media says the top commander of the IRGC, Hossein Salami, was targeted in the Israeli airstrikes and is likely dead. Where does Iraq currently stand? It's just a hollowed out region still controlled by America. Chris Murphy, Israel's attack on Iran clearly intended to scuttle the Trump administration's negotiations with Tehran is further evidence of how little respect world powers, including our own allies, have for President Trump. That's your assessment? That's your takeaway. There's plenty of anti-Trump lines that you can use here. Like, for example, Trump is not the peaceful dove that he claimed he was, and he had ambitions to nuke Iran for decades, and now it seems like he's the perfect president in charge. You can say that. But of course, you also want to do war with Iran. So you can't actually fucking criticize the main point here, which is we are allowing Israel to strike Tehran. Oh, this is the media manufacturing consent. We're joining UNC. Why are you following him? Because he's a U.S. senator? The fuck? I'm following him because I agree with him, chatter. Because he's my friend in real life. I know Chris Murphy really well. What do you fucking think? No, because he's a fucking American senator, dumbass. As opposed to Benjamin Netanyahu's utmost respect for Biden and Obama. Exactly. Fifth Israeli wave of airstrikes on Iran now. They're so fucking disgusting, dude.
President Trump in the East Room about this, and I asked him basically, are you trying to talk Benjamin Netanyahu out of strikes on Iran, or do you want to keep a nuclear weapon out of the Iranians' hands so bad that you would just say, it's not our war, and let him do his thing? And President Trump's answer was a little bit longer than what I'm going to Cliff's note it as, but he said Iran just cannot be allowed to get a nuclear weapon. I'm just off the phone with some senior staff. President Trump, I'm told, is in the West Wing talking to his senior staff, and he is watching the news from the region about what is going on. And it's kind of an interesting place to be right now, the White House, because when most of the folks were leaving here around 6 o'clock after the nightly newscasts, there was a congressional picnic that was starting on the lawn. As I was walking back in through the gates, Pennsylvania Avenue is now completely closed. There are Secret Service patrolling. They're keeping people pretty far back, which is something that they do when there are big international incidents. There are heightened tensions. They just want to make sure that they have this area secure. But there are some guests from the congressional picnic still leaving as President Trump is in the West Wing trying to figure out what exactly is going on. He told me earlier today that Israel did not tell them anything specifically that led to the evacuation of American dependents, American military family dependents in the Middle East. But we know that they had some kind of a tip, whether or not the Israelis told us directly or our own intelligence in the region tipped us off. They didn't do that for no reason, because it was a huge operation that go for a couple more days. But it really only went about 24, 36 hours. Something else, just being here every... Well, yes.
Iranian state media now has confirmed what we reported earlier that we weren't able to confirm, that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard chief has been...
Dude, why the fuck is Danny Den? Oh my God. All of these fucking monstrous pieces of shit, once they are useful to craft an elaborate narrative that will make Israel look like the victim somehow, will turn around and come back on the TV shows and be like, this is why we had to do it.
We have an ongoing dialogue with the United States, but this decision was a decision of the Israeli leadership. You know, we are independent. We take our own decisions. And for us, you know, it is not involved the U.S. this attack. And we saw the statement of Secretary Rubio. It was a decision of the Israeli government, and it was taken by our forces.
If Iran responds and launches a counterattack, does Israel expect the United States to assist them in that response?
Well, first, we called the population. We woke up the entire people of Israel, about 10 million people in the middle of the night.
Oh, no!
Because we expect
people woke up in Israel? No! Oh, it's peaceful slumber. But they woke up.
We are determined, you know, especially after October 7th, to take preemptive
October
action,
7th.
not to wait.
Do you expect the
to be
U.S. to
surprised
help
by
Israel
our
in
enemies.
response?
Well, we have our capabilities. You know,
No, you
we hear
don't.
Threats that,
You don't. You don't
Iran
have shit.
To attack the allies of the U.S., not only the Israel, but other allies. You know, that's the decision of the United States. But we have our capabilities, and we knew exactly what we were doing before we started this attack.
But this is going to be a crucial question, obviously, in terms of what Israel is able to do and whether or not Israel could be overwhelmed, depending on what an Iranian response would look like. And so I want to ask the question again, whether or not Israel will be expecting the United States to assist if Iran does respond to these attacks that Israel has launched tonight.
So I don't think we should go into speculation.
Do you love Israel?
We have our capabilities.
Do you love Israel?
We developed technology, some of it together with the U.S., some of it with other countries.
It seems like you are asking me questions
you hear threats,
that seem like you are Hamas.
Of the United States. And we are
no politic
on continuing
say you love Israel.
To eliminate the threat, and we will do whatever it takes to make sure that Iran will not have ballistic missiles and will not have nuclear capability. We know it will be long. We know it will not be easy for the people of Israel.
Say you will go to Tel Aviv right now. Say you will go to Tel Aviv.
News tonight.
Will you travel to Tel Aviv?
And we are going to continue to follow this breaking news as we're learning more about the scale and what this attack looks like, and also real questions about what it means as far as what that response is going to look like. You heard the ambassador not saying there whether or not they will be counting on the United States to help Israel in that response.
Oh my God. The statement from Secretary Rubio conveys that Israel struck Iran without the umbrella of American support, while Biden twice deployed U.S. troops and resources to defend Israel against direct Iranian strikes last year. Trump isn't promising Israel defense against Iranian counterstrike, though it's clearly planning for one. Grateful that successive Democratic administrations have provided Israel with the means to defend itself. This is, by the way, for all of the fucking Kamala, for all the Kamala would be different attitudes from all the fucking dumbest people on the planet. Kamala Harris's advisor is saying that the Democrats would be defending Israel harder than Trump. The Democrats would be better for Israel than Donald Trump. Like, the Democrats would let Israel go fly their freak flag even harder. I fucking hate, dude, our politicians are such gross, monstrous pieces of shit. And every single person that works in their fucking campaigns. Oh my God, dude. Yeah, it's funny because, like, people say we're single issue voters because we were like, the genocide is horrendous. And who the fuck can, in good conscience, vote for and reward these genocidaires? Meanwhile, the real single issue voters are the fucking pro-Israel people. But because they are so firmly invested and so fucking so important a part of American foreign policy that it doesn't even see it's not even seen as a single issue voter, because everybody in either party and all the politicians and all the fucking military people, the military advisors, they're all firmly invested in destroying Iran and blowing up every country in the fucking region and giving Israel full control over the entire area. Everybody is just Ryan Ruth, but for Israel. Yeah. The decision to strike Iran was reportedly approved between Bibi and Katz on Monday per security officials. I mean, that makes sense. That also corresponds to the timing on America withdrawing troops from the region and embassy families from the region. So, you know, it was her turn. What is this? Pummeling Iran. No retaliation thus far from Iran. They're probably fucking too busy licking their wounds and trying to figure out what to fucking do. Dude, this is not the official account of the Iranian military, okay? Remember, we didn't initiate it. This is not like a real account. This is a fucking meme account. I called it a few days ago, but now it's all but guaranteed that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are going to spend the weekend saying shit like Taco Trump refuses to nuke Iran. What a coward. Tyrant Trump stands with Tyrant Tehran. While protesters get beaten outside of the military parade. I know. I mean, of course, there will be a retaliation. I just don't know how much the capabilities look like now. Breaking: Israel's Ministry of Health has placed all hospitals on the highest level of alert. Yeah, they killed the top IRGC commander. Netanyahu now claiming Israel acted to prevent an Iranian nuclear attack on the United States. I expect Congress to pass a unanimous resolution to replace the presidents on Mount Rushmore with a giant sculpture of their Israeli icon. I do think that, I'm going to be honest, I do think that in like the next 5 to 10 years, if we survive that long, there will be an intense, coordinated retaliation internally in America from a level of anti-Semitism that is previously unprecedented on U.S. soil because of how much our leadership have made it seem as though Israel does indeed control the United States and is doing it at the behest of Jews. Obviously, this is not the reality. America is the major power player here, but there are a lot of fucking Americans, and I'm telling you right now, there are a lot of Americans who look at the situation and they're like, what the fuck is this? This is insane. Extremism is already here, and there's already a lot of anger and resentment and enmity towards marginalized populations or minority populations. Okay? It's already here. That's why I always say it's like Americans are fond of easy to understand narratives, and conspiracies are incredibly easy to understand, especially conspiracies wrapped in bigotry is super easy to understand. Defense Minister Kotz publicly called the Labor Minister Ben Sur to make essential industry factories to stay open in spite of Interior Command's orders during the operation. Seems like prep is for full war mode now. Stay safe, guys. Bro, you're literally in Israel. Stay safe, guys. We're in fucking America. If there's one thing that never historically, with the exception of like 9/11 or Pearl Harbor, and maybe I'm speaking too soon, but you are directly in the crosshairs, like way more than the selfish American continent is. I mean, chatters in Iran. Oh yeah, well, that's true. But you should stay safe as well. I don't know what people can do. I don't even know what to say. Like, what do I say to my fucking Iranian chatters? What do I say to the Israeli HasanAbi heads? Like, everyone is cooked. Fetterman is advocating we send our military to support Israel. Our commitment to Israel must be absolute, and I fully support this attack. Keep wiping out Iranian leadership and the nuclear personnel. We must provide whatever is necessary military intelligence weaponry to fully back Israel in striking Iran. We are going to do everything in our power to fight this. Can we pledge that? I will be out on the streets to fight any war with Iran. Of course. Of course. Except I think they'll probably arrest all of us at that point. Do a psyop, do like a fake operation on US soil to really muster up some anger and resentment towards Iran. Like, I don't think they have the capability of doing a fucking act of terror on US soil, and it would be very stupid for them to do so right now. But I wouldn't put it past America to try to garner as much sympathy as possible. This is from Elant News. TV footage shows smoke rising from the Natanz nuclear facility in Iran. Just how will they sell this? Dem voter support for Israel is non-existent. Now Republicans are coming around. Poll shows 14% drop in support for Israel among Republican voters. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's not a fucking democracy, guys. What do you think I've been trying to explain to people? America is not a real democracy. Western liberal capitalist nations do not operate as real democracies. It's just a democracy in theory. It is a theoretical democracy. Clearly, there are a shit ton of issues that if there was like real-time referendums on, like healthcare, should it be for profit or not, of course, the overwhelming majority of the public would say, fuck no. In spite of unimaginable amounts of consent being manufactured to scare large chunks of the American population into thinking that socialized medicine is bad. Israel is yet another example of this. It is literally like an 80-20 issue at this point in terms of its ceasefire, in terms of pushing for a ceasefire. It's an 80-20 issue It means independents are overwhelmingly majority in favor of a ceasefire. Democrats are literally almost entirely down to, like, I guess, 8% of Democrats that still want Israel to continue fighting, continue doing its genocide. But independents, even Republicans' majority position is to push for a ceasefire in Israel. America has all the fucking cards here. America holds all the cards. They can stop Israel. They can stop Israel tomorrow. They can stop Israel yesterday. They could have stopped Israel on October 8th if they wanted to. But they didn't. Because this is what the American government wants. And at a certain point, you have to realize, like, okay, well, there are a million different issues that seemingly are very popular that would genuinely improve people's living standards in this country. And yet, you know, the money can and goes in only one direction. The government only engages in deregulation. The government only engages in tax breaks for the wealthy, and then maybe some meager tax cuts for the working poor in the process to justify the tax breaks for the super wealthy and corporations, and also endless amounts of money to the military-industrial complex, and also unlimited money to Israel. At a certain point, people go, all right, maybe it's not a fucking real democracy. What is happening? According to Israel Hayom, Israel imposed a full siege on the West Bank. Wait, really? Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir also mentioned in a statement that this represents a point of no return, which is a disturbing way to put things. No, it is a point of no return. This is Israel's final ambition. It's the final piece of the puzzle. Iran represents the only serious form of resistance against designs in this resource-rich region. They already packed up all the Gulf states. They're locked in. They're dialed in. They're pro-America unconditionally. Okay? Like I said, you got Hezbollah, which is also decapitated its leadership. Israel did, with unimaginable acts of terror, not just the pager bombing campaigns, but also just like straight up the Dahiya doctrine. They packed up Syria. They already had packed up Iraq. Iraq has been packed up for a minute. Syria is now under the control of a former Al-Qaeda leader who is also pro-America and will play the role of a loyal servant, at least for the time being, to American interests. Turkey is obviously a NATO attack dog and houses American nukes in its Incirlik base and on numerous other places. The final piece of the puzzle has been Iran. Iran, being as powerful as it is as a regional power, is a harder problem to tackle from Israel's perspective. Because Iran has Egypt. Come on, dude. America gives more money to Egypt than it gives to Israel in terms of aid, okay? Egypt literally is a vassal state. Egypt is a holdover vassal state of U.S. empire. Egypt. Egypt is too busy fucking forcibly removing and deporting people that are trying to cross the Rafah border into Gaza to offer military aid, okay? Egypt is too busy. Egypt is too busy with its own business. The Houthis are the only state actor, I guess, but that's it. And they're far away in proximity, and they are the poorest country on the planet. So they're very limited in their capabilities. So all they can do is basically be a nuisance to Israel every now and then. Do you think Turkey is stronger than Israel? Yes, like a lot, but it doesn't matter. Turkey's only stronger than Israel because Turkey is a NATO country. The fuck are you talking about? Turkey is a like 100 million population. I don't know what the actual population is now. It's the second largest standing army in NATO after the United States of America. Turkey houses American nukes. But Turkey's 90 million. Turkey being having an incredibly powerful military does not do anything because Turkey's not going to do anything to Israel. Turkey is Israel's dog as well as Israel is America's dog. Yeah, I mean here, Benjamin Netanyahu in 2002 urging U.S. to invade Iraq. If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations in the region.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. And I think that people sitting right next door in Iran, young people, and many others will say, the time of such regimes, of such despots, is gone. There is a new age. Something new is happening. If you
He sounds American here. He is American. He's from Philadelphia. He grew up in fucking Philadelphia. He went to MIT. That's the other thing that is like so stupid. Benjamin Netanyahu is an American, okay? He's an American who worked with the American State Department. He is American intelligence. The idea that like he is single-handedly invested in Israel and is a separate entity that gets to dominate America is so fucking stupid. America dominates Israel so hard. Their fucking leader for the past multiple decades at this point, who seemingly never goes away, is a goddamn American who grew up in fucking Philadelphia, dude. He was born in Israel, dog. He's not American in nationality. Okay. I understand why no one wants to take ownership over Benjamin Netanyahu. It's understandable. He is Satan incarnate. But the reality is he grew up for a large chunk of his life in Philadelphia. Pennsylvania chatters be like, nah, dude, what? We don't know him. 6 years he lived there. Come on, go Birds. 6 years he lived there. He went to MIT and he worked with the American State Department. I say he's American. I think it's longer than 6 years too, by the way. He also does have American citizenship. Why did Israel strike Iran? And why were they 100% right to do it? Why Trump's diplomacy first, hands-off strategy worked? And why the nuclear doomsayers have no idea what they're talking about? We've got the facts. And on-the-ground reporting. And inside baseball. Live in 10. FBI arrested... oh, yeah, I already covered this. I know. They arrested him for giving masks to people at a protest. It is so fucking gnarly. Iran is planning to give a harsh response to Israeli attack. Iranian security source to Reuters. I mean, they're going to say that, but I don't know what that means, okay? Now we'll see what Israel attempts to get away with. The West Bank is on full lockdown. Gaza cut off from the world after Israel bombed its last remaining fiber optic lines. The worst will come under the cover of darkness and with the world distracted. Yep. Charlie polling his audience. Should the U.S. get involved in Israel's war against Iran? Good luck. No, we shouldn't take part in the strikes, but we should certainly defend our allies, says Eyal Yacobi. What is this? I logged in to say those are some dangerous ass stretches. What? Oh, Benny Boy. I think the VOD of this got deleted. Did the VOD get nuked? Maybe. Possibly because they're going through, there was a blip and then subsequent mass reporting. That's probably why. It's really annoying though. Or maybe it's what do you call it? Or maybe just like Twitch is busted. It could just be Twitch busted. New York Times confirming reports of rioting inside the ICE facility in New Jersey. Jesus Christ. All right.
Room first thing tomorrow. And he's staying in town for the big military parade. And then you look ahead to next week, he'll be in Canada meeting with G7 partners for the annual G7 summit. They are the host. And so it would seem like the entire schedule for that just got upended.
Peter Ducey live for us, the White House. Peter, if news break in, we'll put you back on. You can give us the rundown. We'll get back to you. Thank you so much. Meantime, we want to bring in...
No, the VOD, I think... Oh, no. I think I've reached my storage. Video storage. What? I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Necessary military intelligence, weaponry to fully back Israel in striking Iran. But you kind of... you conflict that with some of the other comments we're getting, like from Jack Reed, the senator in Rhode Island, who said that this is outrageous that Israel did this. They're putting lives at stake. This is the wrong time to do this. It seems to me, Jason, like we don't have the unanimity among Congress with Israel that we once had.
Yeah, even go back just 6 years ago, Democrats and Republicans, it was almost unanimous that we all stood behind Israel. But there's a big faction within the Democratic Party that's kind of gone off the rails. And, people like Chris Murphy, his post tonight is just outrageous. So we need to be united in this. Look, Israel is taking proactive measures.
Jesus Christ, why not already reporting that security officials Netanyahu claimed that the was with Iran will last at least 2 weeks? Remember, this is exactly what they said on October 7th. The war with Iran will last 2 weeks?
In Syria. We have to believe them. They've proactively attacked Israel. The Israelis on October 7th lost over 1,000 people. So the world is a safer place if the nuclear program is totally dismantled from the leadership to the actual capabilities. That will make the world safer, and that is good for the United States and the entire globe. That has to happen, because without it, they're going to use those weapons. And if they have them, you can't take the chance that they have even one of these bombs that would just, they want to obliterate us and they want to obliterate Israel.
Yeah, I mean, Rabbi Mentz, you have talked about this with me several times on this show. You send me notes saying, listen, they're very close. You know this. It's a big concern in Israel. It's a big concern for Americans who are very closely tied to Israel.
This is a great night, fantastic night. Israel recognized we can't sit around anymore and wait to see what's going to happen. I love that our president is trying to negotiate and trying to get a deal. But they said today, this morning, we're going to continue doing this. Israel said, are you kidding me? Do you remember, I think it was 1981, Israel did a preemptive strike on Iraq and got out the nuke. The whole world condemned Israel. How dare you? How dare you strike? But behind closed doors, thank God, Iraq didn't have it. You know it as well as all the people out there know it. Iran has to get rid of this. And do you know the people in Tehran? They're going to be singing and dancing. You're going to see it tomorrow morning. They're going to be singing. Thank you
for bombing us, Israel.
Yeah, and nobody knows that better than Sheila Nazarian, whose family is from Iran, who escaped Iran. I just want to play this soundbite. Sheila, I'm going to get to you. This is the IDF spokesperson, and he's talking about how that Israel, at this point in time, had no choice. Watch. It's soundbite 2, Katie.
We have no choice. We are operating against an imminent and existential threat. We cannot allow the Iranian regime to obtain a nuclear weapon that would be a danger to Israel and the entire world. This operation is for our right to exist here, for our future and for our children's future. The State of Israel has the right and the obligation to operate in order to protect its people and will continue to do so. The IDF conducted significant preparations for this operation. We are well prepared both in defense and offense to defend ourselves. The IDF will continue to defend the State of Israel.
So it's really two questions, Dr. Nazarian. One is, as Rabbi says, will Iran be somewhat pleased that this happened? And two, the people in Israel have been at war for the better part of 20 months, and the country is tired. The country is exhausted, and here we go again.
Well, the country is exhausted, but you have to go for the head of the snake, and that's exactly what Iran is. I think the people of Iran, the people in Iran, are indeed tired of this regime. They want change. They don't want just a strike here, a strike there. They want this regime finished, and so do the people in Israel, because you're right, they're tired. And just because Iran might have certain capabilities weakened by previous strikes and these strikes, let's not forget about all the proxies. Let's not forget that they can just tell Hezbollah, who we know has a significant military capability, go ahead and you guys strike. But I think that Israel and the statement that the IDF just gave that you played says, you know, we're ready both on the defense and on the offense. And I think what they mean by that is we are prepared for all proxy attacks as well.
If we have Katie Pavlich, can we bring Katie up? Because I have a question for her. It's interesting to me, Katie, when you hear about Peter Doocy talking about this, and you hear that the White House is trying to distance itself from this, you know, to whatever extent it can. But there's also this idea that, you know, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before the White House, before the administration really has to get more involved with this. If Iran starts going after U.S. military bases, U.S. personnel, if it goes after U.S. assets in the Middle East, and if this thing goes on for more than a few days, then it would be kind of incumbent on the administration and this country to get involved. Am I right?
Well, I didn't read the statement from Secretary of State Marco Rubio as necessarily a distancing, as more of a clarification that the United States was not involved, because as you'll recall, there's been talk up to this point that the Israelis could not take out Iran's nuclear program without some kind of U.S. military support. The other half of that statement was
important
a warning
update
to the regime that.
Can we get an update on this, Chuck? Taco Trump is already folding on Iran. Yeah, except these people want to go to war with Iran. They all do. Every single one of them. The action against Iran is Israeli. The U.S. will assist in defense, detection, and interception, and may join in the continuation of the attacks. Israeli estimates war with Iran will last at least 2 weeks. Get your pre-existing conditions locked in. Brother, I am 3 years old. I'm about to be 34 years old. Ain't nobody is drafting me to no goddamn military. Also, I would serve crack before I serve this goddamn nation's interest in the fucking Middle East, okay? I'd rather serve crack before I serve in the U.S. military. Holy fuck. Every time a fucking leader says this will last 2 weeks, it just ends up lasting a lifetime, it seems. October 7, it was supposed to last 2 weeks, okay? Post-October 7. Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Oh, it's just a military campaign. It'll only last 2 weeks. COVID. Oh, it'll just only last 2 weeks. Now Israel's like, oh yeah, Iran, 2 weeks and we're out. It's over. Whenever some fucking world leader says this thing is going to last 2 weeks, no, we're cooked. Also, I mean, low key, this is the quickest way to transify the youth, if you know what I'm saying, okay? Everybody, being non-binary is so back in fashion. Do you understand me? Everyone's gonna be coming out being like, listen, I'm trans. Have you seen my coder socks? I love Hearts of Iron 4. I am, in my heart of hearts, is gonna be the most. Everybody get more trans right now. Do you know how many Fallout New Vegas DLCs I own?
Let's go live to Natasha Bertrand. She is in Washington about the status of American forces and assets in the
military
region
recruiters knocking down your door. You're like, listen, sir, I'm in the process of playing Fallout New Vegas nudity mod. I can't stop this. They're like, oh, okay, I understand.
And of course, the main concern for the Pentagon this evening is the safety of those service members, because the Iranians, they have been known to retaliate against the Americans when they defend Israel, and they have been known to attack American forces via their proxy groups in Iraq and Syria, particularly when it comes to drone attacks. And those drone attacks have killed U.S. service members in the past, as recently as last year. So they are, of course, on high alert this evening. But the U.S. involvement is really going to begin if and when Iran does choose to retaliate, because in the past, when Iran has launched the ballistic missiles at Israel, the U.S. has worked to help intercept those using its naval assets off the coast, using its air assets as well.
Yeah.
And so the question is going to be how far into Israel, given this Israeli attack on Iran that the president clearly did not want. Now, at this point, the Pentagon has not said anything. We have not received a statement from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth at this hour, but the Pentagon has been making moves in conjunction with the State Department in recent days to kind of remove all non-essential personnel from U.S. military bases, as well as, of course, from the embassies across the Middle East. And we should also note that, look, the Pentagon, as well as the State Department, as well as the broader administration, they have known for at least several weeks now that Israel was possibly planning an attack on Iranian nuclear facilities. We reported back in late May that this was something the Israelis were considering. The U.S. officials were divided at the time about just how far Netanyahu would go. And so the Pentagon has had some time to prepare for this contingency. They have been moving assets into the Middle East. And perhaps most tellingly, and one of the more recent things that they did was to divert anti-drone technology from the Ukrainians to U.S. forces in the Middle East. Again, going to be really key if Iran decides to retaliate against U.S. forces there via its proxy groups who tend to use drones to attack U.S. military personnel and bases there, Abby.
Yeah, that is a significant move. Natasha Bertrand, thank you very much, and stand by for us. Let's go live to CNN's Fred Pleitkin, who just returned from Tehran. Fred, first, what is your reaction to what we're seeing, and what has the reaction inside of Iran been to this plan for a perhaps multi-day attack?
Yeah, Abby, first of all, the folks that we've been speaking to in Tehran says that a lot of them were just woken up in the middle of the night to those explosions that were happening in Tehran, saying those explosions were extremely loud, and all of them knew exactly that something big was going on. And now, one of the things, of course, that we know is that for the past couple of really hours, the Iranian state media has been reporting that apparently Hasan Salami, the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, has been killed in these strikes, and possibly some other top Iranian IRGC officials were targeted as well. So certainly the Iranians acknowledging that this is a big attack on various locations in the country, including, of course, the Natanz nuclear facility as well. The Iranians have not made any sort of official statements about possible retaliation. But one of the things that we've been doing over the past couple of days, Abby, is I've been in touch with senior Iranian officials who said to me a couple of days ago that if something like has happened now would happen, that the Iranians have a target list ready, as they put it, for retaliation against targets inside Israel, including, the Iranians put it at that point in time, clandestine nuclear facilities of the Israelis. So the Iranians clearly saying that they believe that they have a strong force, still a strong missile force, of course, drone force as well, with which they would be capable of striking back. Now, it's unclear whether or not this Israeli attack today changes anything, but the Iranians certainly have been saying that they've been gearing up for something like that, and that they have been ready for something like that as well. Of course, they then also entered that spat with the United States, where they saw that the United States was changing some of its diplomatic posture in the Middle East, possibly moving some diplomats out of there. In fact, it was Hasan Salami who said just a few days ago that if there was a direct confrontation, military confrontation between the U.S. and Iran, that the Iranians would make sure that the U.S. has to leave the region, which is obviously not language that is new, but clearly a ramping up of language, as, of course, at this point in time, there was diplomacy that was going on as well, these talks possibly still going on. One of the things that we've seen in the past with the Iranians, I've been on the ground when big strikes took place, like, for instance, when the head of the IRGC was killed, Quds Force was killed in 2020, and the Iranians do take their time. They do calibrate their response. So that's certainly something that we're looking for now again, Abby.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is waiting now to see when the retaliation comes and in what form. But Fred, everyone is also watching and reading the statement from Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, that first and foremost distances the United States from this attack. Yeah. Secondly, it notably omits an explicit statement of support for Israel's
Israeli
defense.
Opposition endorses.
Perhaps that is
Israeli
implied,
opposition leader endorses in strikes.
In Iran right now, how are they reading that statement, and how do you think it might be factoring it in to their plans?
State media went back on their claim apparently and say he's alive. Headline from October 14, 2023 for chatters who don't understand the panic. At least 2 weeks is IDF for a year plus. Herzog is tweeting apocalyptic Bible quotes. Lapid is praising the Air Force, and Katz is calling this a defining moment in the history of Israel and the Jewish people. Everything looks bad. Yes, all signs are pointing to this being the Hail Mary. Okay? Israel has salivated at the prospect of doing this to Iran for the past 30 fucking years. Okay, look at the headline for that. The army believes the war in Gaza is expected to last 2 weeks, last weeks, maybe months. This was, of course, on the 14th this was in 2023. In the beginning, is the VOD deleted? We don't know what happened. Twitch has been wonky today. I'm working on it.
Probably trying to come to terms with what is going on at this point in time. But you do feel when you're on the ground, and we spoke to some senior diplomats from the Iranians a couple of days ago when we were in Tehran, that the equation between the Trump administration and the Iranians has somewhat changed. There is still a lot of distrust there, but the diplomatic process is being given a chance, or was being given a chance, by the Iranians. They were still continuing these talks, even though...
Why is the NYPD account making a statement?
There are also different factions in
because
Iran
they want
as
us
well,
to all go crazy.
Who have been very tough on this process, who said not to trust the United States, who says that Iran still definitely needs enrichment and needs enrichment to high levels as well.
They want us to all collectively lose our minds.
Right now, of course, could be completely different also, as the Iranians themselves also have varying positions inside the country. The supreme leader, of course, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has been one who has been very skeptical of the diplomatic process and says he doesn't believe that it could come to a success, Abby.
Fred, stand by for us. Thank you for that great reporting. I want to bring in now CNN military analyst, retired Colonel Cedric Leighton. Colonel Leighton, the stated objective of this operation, according to Prime Minister Netanyahu, is to essentially eliminate the nuclear threat from Iran. Do you have a sense of how long that would take and what that would need to entail if they were to be successful?
Yeah, that's a great question, Abby. I think the key element about the nuclear part is one of the things that the Iranians have done is they have built some really hardened facilities all around the country, like in Natanz and Fordo, those two sites that are particularly known for their nuclear research facilities. And what is key about this is that the type of concrete that they use is actually a very specialized hardened concrete. That they actually have a way of penetrating those particular sites, but it's questionable whether or not they can do that with the types of bombs that they have. So the Israelis would have to mount waves and waves of attacks. Those attacks would have to come in basically in a series of sorties. When what we probably saw this evening was the first two sorties of those attacks going through. The Israelis, believe that they have actually achieved a lot of what they set out to do with this, certainly in terms of the decapitation part of this. But for the nuclear part of that, I think it remains to be seen. I think it would take a while for them to be certain that they have actually destroyed Iran's nuclear capability, especially all those centrifuges that you often see when we talk about the Iranian nuclear program.
In the studio now with our analysts and reporters, Jim Sciutto, hearing what Colonel Layton said there, I mean, what's your sense of where this war, if it does in fact become all-out war between Israel and Iran, where it stands in the historical context? A lot of people are saying it is a big moment for the region.
Absolutely, there's no question it is. And it's interesting, I heard from lawmakers in the last couple of weeks that there was concern that Israel wouldn't go just after the nuclear sites, they might go big, and that would very much lead to a war. And that's what, it's already a war between Israel and Iran. The only question is, how does Iran respond to this? The next question is, does the U.S. get...
Dude, what are these? Dude, we have been listening to American media, both from CNN and Fox News, for what, the past 2 hours? Or almost 3 hours now. And at no point did a single person so far say, hey, why is Israel doing this? Like, why is this allowed? Not one person. Their coverage is identical. Every single person is basically saying they have, Naftali Bennett. They'll bring on Jonathan Kunkunkrius, Danny Danon to be like, yes, Iran also has babies of terror. Like, not a single person is going, hey, do you think it's appropriate to violate the sovereignty of a regional power this way? In a severe escalation of war? With the hopes that you can draw America into the battle as well? Don't you feel like you should stop doing the fucking genocide of Palestinians? Like, not even a little bit like, hey, don't you have your hands full murdering all the children in the Gaza Strip? Incredible. Not a single fucking peep. He said, why king shit? What is this? Why is what is happening now a serious danger? Those who rule Israel believe in the doctrine of end the world and the necessity of hastening the coming of the Messiah. The Iranian leadership is dominated by the idea of paving the way for the... What are you sending me, bro? What are you sending me? Schizophrenic chatters, I swear to God. Calm down, man. Yeah, tonight's Israeli strike on the Islamic Republic of Iran's nuclear facilities and capabilities was an act of self-defense. This is a civil rights organization, by the way. An American civil rights organization that is supposed to be tasked with defending Jews from anti-Semitic attacks. A civil rights organization that Twitch gets their notes from in terms of combating anti-Semitism. A senior IDF official told Channel 14, we brought about an unprecedented achievement, a significant blow to the top of the Iranian military and the Revolutionary Guards. In addition, also the nuclear scientists, the executors. We have a long and broad offensive plan for the days ahead. Complex days lie ahead. The Iranians will respond. If the public is disciplined, there will be few casualties. We are at war. By the way, they started this. If there's even any retaliation at all, just expect the most annoying, the most endless victimhood narratives. Like, even if a hair on the arm of an Israeli civilian or enemy combatant or fucking Benjamin Netanyahu is harmed, you will hear the most annoying victimhood narratives, like as though the Israeli government did not do this. Just endless cry bullying from the genocidal state, the apartheid state that is doing a genocide. Israeli source tells me Israel was able to surprise Iran. Israel managed to hit several targets in the heart of Tehran to eliminate multiple senior Iranian regime leaders simultaneously in different spots. The source adds, even though Iran will retaliate, this is a surprise and execution at a level similar to what Israel did in the Beeper operation. They're fucking lunatics, dude. I cannot imagine what it would be like living in the backyard of such a psychotic, genocidal state. God, I feel so fucking bad for every other country that has to be neighboring Israel. It is just a ticking time bomb. Like, you will at some point be fucking assassinated by American weapons, no matter what. A fucking ticking time bomb, dude. Insane.
In and you see some of that footage floating around on X, to be able to send blistering strikes with pinpoint accuracy. It means those pilots have to have that shield. This is out of Star Wars almost, to be able to go in there and not have those missiles begin taking or firing at those F-35s means that the intelligence has to be impeccable. Don't forget, Israel for the last decade has flipped hundreds of informants on the ground, which led to the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, which led to the assassination of Hasan Nasrallah. Israel's got Iranians giving them intelligence because they're so fed up with this regime and the IRGC. They've got assets flipped for years, and what you're seeing now is the full activation of a percentage of Israel's capabilities, and any dead IRGC commanders are just the tip of the spear in terms of what Israel's capabilities are. And I say to the IRGC, Trace, if they're listening, and Sheila can correct me, c'est pas mandom bal ahoshtar nistim agar harokat kon payan ikarate, which is, we're not here to warn. Your move or it's over.
Yeah,
and that's where we're at.
Okay, but very quickly, you know, it's a good point. But when you talk about places like Natanz, we know that the nuclear capability, the whole operation is deep within the earth. If you don't have those U.S. bunker buster bombs, is it worth even going after those sites?
Israel did get some heavy bunker busting bombs that were given to them by the U.S. the moment Trump came into office. The exact number and their deployability, I can't tell you, but Israel does have that bunker capability. And I believe from what I'm hearing, Esfahan was specifically targeted because that's where the uranium does get processed. However, Israel's not done, and whatever deep damage they were unable to hit, there's going to be more of these strikes coming. Israel's setting a pace right now, precedence. And like Eli Kohanim just said, this is historical. Iran has been bullying the Middle East since Carter left office.
Iran has been bullying the Middle East, not Israel?
Keep pounding here and do this Gulf a favor, do everybody a favor. The only people that are standing back right now, everybody's behind these attacks, Trace, except for Qatar, who's secretly behind them. Qatar's a sandbar in the desert if they weren't lighting fires and putting them out at the same time in the middle of negotiations with Hamas. But Israel...
I fucking hate these animals, man. They're so racist. Like... It just sucks because sometimes I feel so alone in my coverage on stuff like this, where like what he is saying is insane. Okay. What he's saying is just pure Islamophobia. Okay. Pure unlimited Islamophobia that he is basically trafficking as though it's like a serious political commentary. And I can't even fucking point this shit out because everybody also feels that way, you know? Are you okay? Why wouldn't I be okay? It just sucks. It sucks because like every time I do commentary on stuff like this, I also am very aware of and while this community is sizable and very active and very progressive, and you guys are not oblivious to the ways that these guys operate, the broader American public's attitude is kind of close to that, guys. And it's so difficult to just cut through that noise and be like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, oh yeah, these guys are all fucking terrorists. They're all violent. It's like, are we watching the same world? Are we experiencing the same reality? Like everything you said about Iran is applicable to Israel and America 100 million fold. It just, there's also never any justice. There's never justice in this. Like evil always thrives, and it's just so devastating to watch unfold, you know? At least the one good news is the federal judge ordered Trump to return control of the National Guard to California. So there is that.
Means the right to control the National Guard, in this judge's opinion here, belongs to the states and not to the feds. Now, how does this play out from here? The judge put his own ruling on hold until tomorrow, Friday at noon. So nothing goes into effect until tomorrow, Friday at noon, to give the Trump administration a chance to appeal this. They've already filed a notice of appeal. We don't know how this is going to come out. This is the first ruling of its kind. This statute has only ever been used once before, but it didn't go to court that time. In
Come on, man. Take the filter off.
A first here.
Yeah. So they.
Brother, my primary responsibility is to you, the viewers, and obviously taking the fucking filter off is just a fantastic opportunity for a million of my haters to just take advantage of the situation and my weakness, having like an emotional weak response, for them to just use and abuse to actively undermine how I'm most valuable. Like actively undermine the value that I bring to the fucking table, which is when I am a million. You're not that famous, bro. Okay, dude, I'm fucking exaggerating. What do you mean? Why are you taking everything so literally? No, I do not have 1 million haters. Who gives a fuck about your haters? My haters are the government. It's not just like random fucking dipshit Twitch streamers, dude. I'm talking about the American government, the Department of Homeland Security, Customs and Border Patrol, Israel, Israel advocacy networks that exist in the United States of America and all around the Western world.
I think the fact is also that Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass were completely incapable of controlling this situation. It took 5 days for the mayor to impose a curfew. Also,
fucking Andrew Cuomo, apparently, who, you know, didn't say my name, but mentioned me when he was attacking Zoran.
I think that elapsed between the hearing and this ruling being released. It seems to me that it was preordained.
We just watched the New York mayoral race, and Andrew Cuomo literally mentioned me when attacking Zoran. He did. He just said, you did conversations with someone who said 9/11 was America was responsible for 9/11.
What does this have to do with? I don't give forums to extremists who blame America for 9/11.
That's what he was talking about. You blame America for 9/11.
I didn't say that I would boycott Cornell Technion because they're pro-Israel.
You absolutely have at least 1 million haters, brother. I'm sorry to tell you. No, I don't. Shut the fuck up. You guys are so dumb. I know they haven't stopped striking Tehran. You do, lol. Yes, you do. You don't even know it, but you do. I am me. Okay? I go out in the real world all the time. If you think I have more haters than fans, that says more about what kind of content you consume on the internet. Yes, if you go on Twitter, you might get this false sense of this asymmetry, this false sense of like overwhelming hatred. You're just extremely online.
Uranium to build fuses, to assemble a weapon that could be delivered. If that's the case, you simply can't wait around and hope for the best. The Israelis must have made the decision based on the intelligence available to them that we had now reached the point of no return and that we had no further opportunities to negotiate. Because that's what the Iranians do. They love to show up at the negotiating
I already
table
covered this. Yeah,
and
this
make
is
a
for all
big
the
show
Kamala
of
would have been
talking
different
and taking the negotiations
chatters.
seriously, but using it as cover, as smokescreen for their nuclear ambitions. That could be what happened here.
Yeah, Nathan Sales, good stuff. I want to bring in Ali Bastucky with the political aspect of this because he makes a very good point where, you know, the bottom line here is it's up to Israel because Israel thought that their backs were against the wall, Ali Beth, and this administration may disagree with that, but it's really not their call.
Yes, you know, a previous guest, the ambassador, said that Israel is its own country. It can make its own decisions and defend itself. And I think everyone, no matter what wing of the party you're in, whether you are afraid that this attack is going to escalate the possibility of a war, or whether you think Israel should go all in, can agree with that Israel has a right to exist. It can do what it wants. However, Trump is in an interesting position right now because, on the one hand, this is 61 days. It seems like maybe he did okay this. On the other hand, he's signaling on Truth Social that, look, I asked for diplomacy. I want to handle this diplomatically. Now, whether or not that is what he is doing or it's a signal to Russia and China to kind of calm them down about this, we don't know. It's going to be interesting going forward.
What are your guesses on the stock market tomorrow? Not good. Use your last remaining dollars to subscribe. The Piker Broadcasting Service is funded by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. Your $6 a month subscription or your free subscription in the form of a Twitch Prime keeps me editorially independent. Thank you. I got to remember to do a call to action more frequently. The Piker Broadcasting Service, PBS. Thank you for your contributions. I can't even go through all the fucking gifts. All right.
We look like fools.
It's crazy because, like, CNN already moved on. Fox News is just, like, going full tilt on the fucking war with Iran, Israel high narratives. That ad break reminded me of a simple time when we used to watch reality TV instead of watching the world burn. Yeah, well, what are the next steps of escalating the situation you see happening? I mean, depending on the Iranian retaliation, Israel says they're going to continue bombing. They haven't stopped bombing Iran, by the way. While we were having this conversation, they have still been bombing Iran. They are not going to stop bombing Iran. Let's be real.
Faceted drone.
I guess it's just entirely dependent on if through the barrage of missiles, Iran gets to open fire back at Israel, and what kind of harm they can do in their retaliation. Iran is already, Iran is going to declare. I don't know if they're going to declare war or if they're going to fucking say that they're going to respond. It seems like they are. Justin, Deputy Chief of Staff, Iran's Armed Forces, Abul Fazl Shakarchi. People should not feel worried at all. Israel, which carried out this barbaric act with the help of America, will pay a very heavy price. I feel like these motherfuckers are going to tell Israel that they're going to attack again. They're going to just be like, yeah, we're telling Israel exactly where we're going to attack, exactly when we're going to attack. You know, we're just going to play patty cakes, and then they're going to fucking get nuked.
At the White House. It is an annual event. He made some remarks, but it was more about the weather and the picnic. And then he retired to the White House itself. At that point, we are told he went to the Situation Room. He's due to be back there at 11 o'clock Washington time tomorrow morning, where he'll meet with his national security team. We can be sure.
CNN, Iran to declare war on Israel. Holy shit. I don't see that on CNN at all. I don't know where that guy's getting that from. They said that last time and nothing major happened. That's not true. That's not true. Iran's retaliation was major. It was a major blow to Israeli defenses. Now, I don't know how much better Israeli defenses have gotten since then, but it was a significant blow to Israeli defenses and Israeli confidence. Now, that a strike, that was a restrained retaliation to say, look, we can fucking strike Tel Aviv. Don't fuck with us. Israel seemingly is confident enough to feel like they can't do serious damage. Or even if they do serious damage to Tel Aviv, to Israeli civilians, like kill a bunch of Israeli civilians, I assume that Israel hopes that America will, I guess, go to war with Iran alongside Israel. I don't fucking know, man.
Donald Trump said that he wasn't quite sure about his position on some things, but wanted to move him to a more important position, which of course...
Like, if Israel did this against Trump's wishes, like, okay, then invade Tel Aviv. Okay? Yeah. Show us the truth. Invade Tel Aviv tomorrow. You have the cruisers right there. You have American forces. Like, right in the region. Invade Tel Aviv. It's already an American state. Might as well fucking annex it permanently. Okay? If this is like out of our control, if this situation is out of our hands, invade Tel Aviv. Invade Tel Aviv tomorrow. Okay? The United States of America, please invade Tel Aviv. Please. Do it. These motherfuckers are invading California with the American military. Why not Tel Aviv? Tel Aviv is literally just as America as Los Angeles is. You know? Ynet reported security officials claimed the U.S. would join the airstrikes if the preliminary results of Israel's operations are successful. Obviously, it's an Israeli report, but not American. But keep in mind, this could get even worse. No, it's going to get worse, I think. The spokesman for Iran's armed forces on state TV and is promising decisive retaliation and a heavy price to be exacted against Israel. America's being explicitly named as their key supporter in this massive attack.
A number of sites in Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Tehran's nuclear enrichment and what he calls weaponization programs were targeted. There are reports that a number of Iranian commanders and nuclear scientists have been killed. Israel declared an emergency situation across the country after the strikes. The U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned against any retaliation by Iran on U.S. positions in the Middle East. Rubio said the U.S. was not involved in the attack. He said Israel advised the U.S. that they believe the strikes were necessary for self-defense. A spokesman for the Iranian armed forces say Israel and the U.S. will pay a heavy price for the attack. Well, Noor O'Day joins us now from Amman. So, Noor, we've heard an unrepentant Israeli Prime Minister justifying these attacks.
We certainly have the Israeli Prime Minister addressing the world, really, in English, saying that this was an attack that Israel had the right to do. He called it a preemptive attack. He said it was in the interest of protecting Israel, but also of
Bro,
the
I've turned into the
States.
Arab dad meme right now.
Very keen on
standing up and watching Al Jazeera.
Narrative of Israeli-U.S. coordination. That line, of course, being also repeated on Israeli news outlets, that there was coordination, no
standing up and watching Al Jazeera in the living room.
The U.S. and Israel did not stand apart on this. The Israeli media in the past few minutes reporting a fourth wave
wearing this while wearing a soccer jersey.
Iran. The list of assassinated officials, academics, and nuclear scientists.
Ya Allah!
To Mossad
Shaitan.
sources speaking to the Israeli army radio, according to them, it is long, it is unprecedented. Some security sources say that what Israel did to Hezbollah in 10 days, taking out the leadership ranks in 10 days, it has done, or at least attempted to do, in Iran in just 10 minutes. If that is true, this would really spin the region into something completely uncharted in terms of tension, in terms of repercussions. And of course, Israel is in a state of emergency. The airspace is under lockdown. There are no flights going in or out of Ben Gurion Airport. All normal daily activity in Israel has been canceled in accordance with the instructions of the Israeli Home Command, and Israelis have been instructed to stay close to safe areas. Those areas, of course, being the shelters that Israel has in various cities.
Iranian Supreme Leader responds.
Of course, Israeli Palestinian citizens.
Okay. Message from Supreme Leader of the Islamic Revolution to the great nation of Iran following the Zionist regime's crime this morning. Following the Zionist regime's crime against our beloved country this morning, Ayatollah Khamenei, the Supreme Leader of the Islamic Revolution, issued a message to the great nation of Iran. The message is as follows. In the name of God, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, the great nation of Iran, the Zionist regime at dawn today opened its dirty and bloody hand to a crime in our beloved country and revealed its evil nature more than ever by striking residential centers. The regime must expect severe punishment. The powerful hand of the Islamic Republic's armed forces will not abandon him, God willing. Several commanders and scientists were martyred in the enemy attacks. Their successors and colleagues will immediately resume their duties, God willing. With this crime, the Zionist regime prepared itself for a bitter and painful fate, and it will definitely receive it. Sayyid Ali Khamenei. I, for one, believe that he really DM'd this over Telegram. No, this is, guys, this is fucking Lookner, okay? It's like a decent account, a fairly reliable account, and they just take it from Telegram groups. He's not, this is a translation of what he said. He didn't actually tweet or send this message with the fucking emojis. Casualty number is climbing, including Iran State TV says casualty numbers are climbing and include women and children. The buildings targeted were residential apartments, buildings where military commanders and other families lived. State TV said. Classic. Khomeini, not Khomeini. Yes, I know the VOD for today has disappeared from my profile. I know. We are working on it. Can you guys please stop freaking out?
Iranians saw these
We are working on it.
in the capital and in other cities was during the Iran-Iraq war. And I remember as a child growing up in Tehran, the capital would come under attack on a daily basis.
What the fuck?
So those memories linger with that generation. The new generation, however, has never witnessed anything like this. And so it's going to be very much a shock. And we're seeing civilian casualties already as a result of this attack. So it's going to be very difficult for Iranians to come to terms with this finally happening inside their country. And of course, the question they will have is, what will the officials do to respond? And just want to tell you that we've heard from the Iranian Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He has issued a statement paying condolences to what he says are martyrs, the nuclear scientists and officials from the military. And he's also warned Israel that there will be a bitter and painful fate that is awaiting Israel.
Okay, well, Al Jazeera correspondent Ali Hashim is also with us here in the studio. Ali, just how dangerous a situation are we in now?
This stuff acts as a sort of reset button for Israeli politics, just like the Beeper attack was. Yeah. Leaders Yair Lapid, Yair Golan have been more explicit in opposition, been more explicit than ever on ending the war. And this is just like they did with Lebanon, where their educated, now they praise the Air Force, where their educated Ashkenazi base lies. It's always been attention that the liberals supporting the hostages was the same guy sitting in the drone room. This reminds everyone that what irreparable fascist death ball we live in, to go back in place. Yeah, I do fully believe that Trump didn't want him to strike tonight, but the strike is still fully in line with U.S. foreign policy, just jumping ahead of what Trump was ready for. I think if talks broke down, which given Wickoff, this would have come eventually. I think the entire negotiation process was to try and see if Iran would budge to a maximalist denuclearization position, shutter its entire civil nuclear capabilities, like its energy grid, which was never going to happen. But knowing that was never going to happen, I think it was inevitable. Like, I don't think this was the retaliation that like was going to come after the deal fell apart. I'm warging. Did I say warging? What is warging? Did I say warging? Oh, I've never had my shoulder make the noises that it just made. It was like crazy. It felt like it was like completely out of its socket. It was like, that's why I was scared, by the way. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So they were always going to do this, but I think like the timing of it, why now? Why now? Because I think Benjamin Netanyahu is worried about the Israeli government coalition falling apart. And then they won't be able to continue their genocide. They won't be able to continue their death and destruction campaign. So it's like a last effort, is a last Hail Mary attack that they've been gearing up for decades.
The strategy here is that Israel sees Iran as an octopus with arms, and it started hitting the arms. Hezbollah in Lebanon, neutralizing the Iraqi militias in Iraq, also Hamas. And then it hit the head. Now, also, it's using the same strategy and dismantling the command and control in Iran by killing several IRGC commanders. In this way, it's kind of limiting Iran's ability, or at least this is how the Israelis are seeing it, to initiate a response.
And with that strategy, as you say, the Israeli military says it's launched a wave of strikes against not just the military there, but nuclear sites in a major escalation.
Absolutely. We've seen pictures from Natanz. We've seen pictures from Qom, but we don't know if it's Fordo that was hit or not. This is not only a major escalation, it's very dangerous. It has dire implications on the surroundings. I mean, this is a nuclear facility. It's not a joke. We saw what happened in Chernobyl. We saw what happened in Fukushima in Japan when there is an explosion in a nuclear facility. So this is not just about hitting facilities that are owned by a regime, as the Israelis describe the Iranian establishment, that they see as an enemy. But they are trying to dismantle the whole establishment. And this is clear from all these hits that they've done today. And they're saying that this is not going to end any soon.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, well,
Sure. Yeah, Trump is furious.
We're going to cross to Ali Daraini.
Any coverage of the sort is fucking bullshit. Remember, unless Trump invades Tel Aviv, okay, I'm going to say it once again. Unless Trump invades Tel Aviv right now, anything short of that simply means he loves exactly what Israel is doing, and he wanted Israel to do this, and this was always a part of the plan. The notion that Trump is so angry with Bibi Netanyahu is just as stupid as it was when people were saying that about Biden. Okay? That's it.
It's very obvious that there will be retaliation. Neither Israel nor the United States will be able to disrupt or destroy Iran's nuclear facilities. They may do some damage, but this provides more justification for Iran to go more underground and hide its facilities. I see this criminal attack as part of a concerted effort to intensify pressure on Iran to give more concessions at the negotiating table. I don't buy Marco Rubio's statement that this is a unilateral Israeli attack and the U.S. was not involved in this. This is nonsense.
And
this is not an attack that Israel
well,
could have
indeed,
done.
forgive me for jumping in there, but how might Iran respond, and what do you think are its actions, its options, I should say?
There is a long list of options. Based on my knowledge, the Supreme National Security Council, Iran's highest security decision-making body, has already convened an emergency meeting. So they have either decided or are deciding how to respond to this Israeli attack. So there will be retaliation, but I can't say how or exactly what specific targets will be attacked from Iran, but there will be a massive retaliation. This is not something that Iran can ignore.
And do you see this very much as an attack on Iran as an entity, as it were, as opposed to attacks on individuals?
That's why I said Iran is under attack. This is an attack against the state of Iran. It's an attack against its facilities. We are talking about a nuclear facility. Israel carried out attacks in residential areas in the capital, Tehran, all in violation of international law. So this is an attack that's...
that also doesn't matter, because you just slap on Iran as a state sponsor of terror and then you move on, you know?
It's a matter of time, or we don't know exactly whether it's going to be in the coming minutes or hours, but there will be a retaliation from the Iranian side. I can't believe that this attack could have been carried out at least without the consent or without coordination with the United States. Rather, I'll put this attack as an American attack carried out by its proxy, Israel.
Ali Daraini, stay with us, if you will, as we continue our coverage. We're going to cross to Tohir. From the site of one of the attacks in Tehran, what more can you tell us?
Well, actually, we are at the scene of one of the explosion sites. Reports came out at around 3:30 a.m. in the morning that Tehran has been attacked and several places inside the capital of the country were hit. And now, as you can see behind me, there is this one of these buildings that we can show that smoke comes out, but this is not the only place that has been attacked. We have several military places, including the IRGC headquarters, which is reported to be hit. And added to that is several residential buildings that were attacked. And this one that you can see behind me and the smoke comes out from is one of the instances, but this is not the only place that has been attacked. We know that also when it comes to Iran's nuclear facilities, we are seeing reports coming out that Natanz, the nuclear important facility for enrichment, is attacked. And this is one of these. Also, reports are coming from cities across the country, including Elam, including Hamadan, including Tabriz, about the sound of explosion being heard. But another very important line of development that we can hear is the assassination of IRGC commander Hossein Salami, which was confirmed in addition to some other important figures, such as one IRGC commander and two important nuclear scientists, Feridun Abbasi, who is a former head of Iran's nuclear atomic organization of the country, as well as Dr. Tehranchi, another nuclear scientist, which was assassinated in this round of attacks. The situation is highly escalated. We are anticipating different reactions from the Iranian side. So far, we have heard statements from the army, statements from other officials that there is going to be a tough response down the road. And behind me, if you can hear now, we've got the sound of explosion. Iran says it could be related to the air defense of the system, which is activated, which is 100% prepared according to the Iranian
How the
officials.
fuck do they not have it activated already all the time?
Reports came out about these strikes. We hear sounds of bullets. We hear signs that could be attributed to the activation of air defense system. And also, there are reports coming about the possibility of next wave of Israeli attacks again from the...
Bro, this is the type of shit I will never understand. Like, Israel does an insane attack on Iran, and then everyone, including the fucking NYPD, is like, yeah, we're making sure that we're protecting, out of an abundance of caution, we're deploying additional resources to Jewish and Israeli and other sites throughout New York City. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? Like, Israel's the one that just fucking, okay, why not Iranian places? You know what I mean? Why not? We're out of an abundance of caution. We are going to defend our Iranian American citizens or anything like that. It's like, bro, it's not like Iran struck itself. Israel struck Iran. What is happening? It's crazy.
About potential practical attacks taking place, and footage is coming out, and right now I'm seeing shows that one skyscraper in Tehran has been attacked, and also there are unconfirmed and confirmed reports about the further escalation. The one footage that came out from RIIB, the state TV, showed that some civilians, including women and children, have been killed in these strikes. Sources of which remains to be seen. Some say it would be airstrike or missile or anything else. We don't have exact detail.
The headline on Haaretz's front page in Hebrew is Israel has opened war on Iran, which means that every level of the military's upper echelon has already acknowledged this will be serious and long term. It really is a point of no return, terrifying. I don't think Israel has the military prowess or the power, the manpower specifically, to even conduct a full-blown ethnic cleansing campaign in the Gaza Strip, let alone go to war with Iran. This means we are going to war with Iran. They do not have that capability. Considering that there's not a lot of appetite from America to go to war with Iran, I don't know how the American government will find a way to make it seem like we are also involved in this, and we have to do the right thing and defend our allies, defend Israel, and fucking go to war with Iran at the behest of Israel. Fars News Agency reports Chief of Staff of Iran's Armed Forces Major General Mohammad Bagheri has been killed in Israeli attacks. Wait, what? I thought he was literally fucking in a military bunker. Didn't he just Am I crazy or is this a different dude? This just came out. I don't understand. I thought he was literally now in charge or something. Same dude, Iranian state TV got it wrong. He is dead. Bro, by the way, loving the peaceful president. I mean, his reign has been so fucking peaceful. It's crazy. I haven't felt more in peace than when he deployed the Marines to Los Angeles, and then now will most likely deploy the Marines to fight against Iran at the behest of Israel. You know, I feel so at peace. You know, we are gonna peacefully explode. I feel like I'm in too much. I feel like too much peace. We have too much peace. He needs to fucking, you know, maybe start some wars. You know, he's ending too many. I feel like we still have to have some wars. You feel me?
Coordination at face value. I think that this probably was not good timing for the United States, and I think that Secretary Rubio's department
the camera's
wanted to go
glitching
ahead
again.
with the next round of talks and then perhaps come to a decision point. But this is something that I think we'll argue over for a while.
Presumably this now scuppers talks over Iran's nuclear program, and if so, is that what Israel would have wanted?
Well, I think Israel would have wanted the talks to be successful, as the United States did. The problem was success for Israel and the United States is defined as Iran not having a nuclear enrichment capacity. And Iran, once the negotiations got down, said, no, that's a red line. Physically, if you can enrich to any percentage, 1 or 2%, you can enrich to weapons grade percentage. So that's the problem. When it became apparent that the talks wouldn't work, then I think Israel grew extremely concerned and felt that Iran was building a capacity while time was being frittered away. But I would advise, if I were advising the Secretary of State or Mr. Witkoff, I would say go to Muscat to show your goodwill, because if this conflict escalates, you know, the United States is a democracy responsible to its population. You need to, if it escalates, in order to do that, you have to show that you made every reasonable effort. Iran, on the other hand, has kind of painted itself in a rhetorical corner. And I think that it would be very, very difficult for them to show up at Muscat on Sunday.
You talk about
isn't that crazy how tall she is?
Escalation there. I mean, could this have been prevented by the U.S. telling Israel not to take this kind of action?
Well, you know, Israel has a long history of pursuing its own security interests when they view that it's serious enough without waiting for or consulting the United States. So you go back to the 1967 war, which not only did Israel not inform the United States, they actually shot a U.S. ship in the region, which they said they mistook for an Egyptian ship. The raid on the PLO headquarters in Tunis, the invasion of Lebanon in '78, the attack on the Iraqi
she is so heavy, I can't even carry her anymore. She's like 120 pounds, fat ass.
It's important enough. They take their matters into their own hands, and I think this may have fallen into that category.
Okay, David Desroches, thank you very much for joining us. Let's speak to Alan Fisher now. He joins us live from Washington, D.C. So where does this leave, then, the U.S. National Security Council meeting scheduled for Friday?
It happens at 11 o'clock local time, and there are critics on social media who suggest that the situation is grave enough that Donald Trump should convene that meeting a lot sooner. He was at
Don't
the
fat
congressional
shame. I'm
picnic
sorry.
at
She's
the White
fat.
House.
It's true. She
an
should
annual
know.
event. As the attack was taking place, he made some comments, but it was about the picnic and the
120
weather
pounds is
in
hard for me to
Washington, DC,
carry.
And then he retired to the White House. We are told he has been fully briefed about what's happening. We think
that's why I work out every
this
day.
was going to happen, given that 24 hours ago the United States said that it was going to carry out a partial evacuation of its embassy in Baghdad, and also
does Iran have military
non-essential
allies?
staff
No.
would be able to leave other embassies in the region if they felt at risk. In the last couple of hours, we've heard from Marco Rubio, who, of course, you'll remember, not just holds the title of Secretary of State, but is also the acting National Security Advisor. He said that this was a unilateral action by the Israelis. The United States was told that, as far as Israel was concerned, this was carried out in their own self-defense. And in the meantime, the United States has managed to make sure of the safety of its operations and facilities across the Middle East. Certainly, we know that the embassy in Jerusalem has told Americans to effectively stay indoors over the next 24 hours or so because of what may come. Certainly, Donald Trump was hoping...
Bro, do you think BRICS will do anything if this escalates? What? Yeah. Yeah, India is going to fucking nuke America. Yeah, India's going to nuke Israel. BRICS. That's so funny. No one is going to do shit. China is, again, restrained to a fault. China is non-interventionist to a fault. Russia is too busy trying to conquer Ukraine. There is no one to help Iran here. Who the fuck can help Iran? Someone said Pakistan. That's funny. That's a good one, chatter. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Pakistan is going to help Iran by invading it. DPRK. Uh-huh. Good one. Yeah. I think a lot of people fail to understand America's relationship with virtually every country on the planet. Like when I say the United States of America is the hegemonic superpower, I think some of you think that that just is a fancy word that I'm using, and the word has no meaning behind it. Like, many of you fail to understand what a hegemonic superpower is, okay? It's not a Digimon. It's not a different kind of Pokemon. It means like it is the primary superpower on the planet, the most powerful nation on the planet, the most domineering force on the planet, as in nothing compares to its awesome power. Okay? And with that, and the reason why it has this status is because of NATO, because of post-World War II gains, because of its victory in the Cold War, and its endless domination of the entirety of the global South at the behest of empire, imperial needs, unequal exchange, okay? In the process of developing this level of power, now, hegemonic powers can still lose. They lost in Vietnam. They lost in Afghanistan, okay? But, and they will, depending on how this goes, they might lose in Iran as well. But because of their status right now, they still have tremendous allegiances, partnerships, security contracts, mutually beneficial security contracts with virtually every country in the region. That's why it's funny when you guys like point to all these other like surrounding countries and like, well, would they come to Iran's defense? Fuck no. I genuinely believe that Israel, Iran has the highest likelihood of bringing about World War III, more so than Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan, or India, Pakistan. I think Israel is going to continue to strike Iran until Iran missteps and attacks American troops, and America will step in. This genuinely has the capacity to kill millions. Yes. Yeah, I think that's the goal. Like the U.S. couldn't compete their goals against Yemen. How the fuck do they expect to touch Iran? Great question. The answer is simple. They don't. But it doesn't matter. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Because think about beyond the unimaginable death toll in Afghanistan and in Iraq. Think about the domestic consequences that had in the United States. Instability, economic hardships, like people's material conditions worsening, because there isn't an endless amount of money in the United States of America. At the end of the day, you know, the money's got to go in one direction, and we've just geared it towards a war economy, military Keynesianism. But even with all of that, as capital owners generated tremendous value out of this endless war, there were consequences both for the victims, much more severe penalties for the victims, undeserving civilian victims of American imperialism. But there were even internal consequences as well. So when I say America has tremendous power to make life living hell for every other country on the planet, that comes with a cost. While Iran will obviously suffer tremendous casualties in the process, America will also suffer. America won't win the war against Iran. If it can't win a war against Afghanistan, if it can't win a war against Vietnam, how the fuck is it going to win a war against Iran? Yeah, I saw we already posted the statement. With this crime, the Zionist regime has prepared for itself a bitter, painful fate, which it will definitely see. I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely very important for Israel to get the U.S. heavily involved if there's a prolonged war of cities, as it would be exhausting for Israel. Yeah, but there's no land to fight a war or attrition. The only option is the war of cities. Iran has a massive arsenal of missiles and strategic depth, while Israel has nuclear weapons and every Western power at its feet. Iranian Atomic Agency chief says the Natanz reactor has been destroyed. I'm embarrassingly mind blown by that argument. So what's the point then if we haven't, in air quotes, won before? Wait, is that a serious question? Wars are not meant to be won. It's not like monarchies where you just go in and you take over that land, and then those serfs are now a part of your military, and they're like forced, and you know, steal all the women and enslave them, and you go into the treasure chest inside of a fucking castle, and then you take all of the treasure from the castle. You ransack the village. You know, it's not like that anymore. Nowadays, war is not meant to end. It's supposed to be continuous. Civilization 7 at comment. Wait, what do you mean? I mean, it's not conquest. War is for profit and resources. Yes. And profit and resources does come through. I mean, there's spoils in terms of natural resources. I mean, look at Iraq, okay? And not just like the petroleum, but also the rebuilding of Iraq. All of those contracts were given to the American companies, given to Western companies to rebuild Iraq. Halliburton is a great example of this. Dick Cheney, former president of Halliburton, who then became vice president, gave a fuck ton of contracts to Halliburton. No, not the Halliban. That was a lot of money exchanging hands. That was a lot. It was a tremendous revenue opportunity. Comparing the U.S. now to the U.S. in the 1970s is insane. Okay, I'm comparing the United States right now with Afghanistan to what might take place in Iran. I'm not comparing it to the 1970s. If anything, due to the enshittification of everything, the American military, by my assessment, is worse off than what it used to be in comparison to other global powers. Like, we fancy ourselves to think that we have the best technology on the planet, but the American military dominance doesn't come from our technological achievements or our technological prowess. It comes from our logistics. It comes from the fact that the American military has cruisers, sailing cities, basically, and satellite technology and targeting capabilities all around the planet. You can be anywhere in a matter of moments. Military bases everywhere. We have endless global presence. We're everywhere at the same time, all over the world. And I think enshittification has kind of ruined that even. One of the greatest examples of this was with Yemen, when the American military had great difficulties refueling. Like I think they struck the Yemenis, like the Yemeni militias struck one of their refueling ships, and then it was over. Like, it disrupted a big part of their naval presence in the region. How long does war continue, for example? How is the military both more funded than it has ever been, yet also downsized? I don't know. Why is Boeing making airplanes that fucking fall apart mid-air and doors explode, even though Boeing profits have gone up and Boeing revenues have gone up? It's because Boeing is a bank. Everything is a bank. Every corporation that used to under normal circumstances, like invent things or make products that were the best or better than the competition, no longer does that. Their primary purpose is to move money, move numbers around. And there is an endless appetite for cutting costs, corner cutting. Everything is heavily financialized. And I do think that the military is also hit with this financialization through the public-private partnership. Israel official account posting more propaganda trying to explain why it had to attack Iran today. Yeah, I don't think anybody buys this shit, but it doesn't really fucking matter. Like, I don't know who is childish enough to believe the really awful propaganda coming out of Israel on why they had to bring America into a potential global war. Like, they can say a million different things, but ultimately it's just bullshit.
And it's after 4 hours when the strike took place. And this is the house. This is a residential place in which there are several civilians living there. And also, it was Dr. Tehranchi, an Iranian nuclear scientist.
We just watched this.
See what the reporting bears out on that front.
So Aaron David Miller, perhaps you can apply your diplomatic interpretation skills to the Marco Rubio statement in which he says, in effect, we were not involved. We're going to look after our soldiers in the region, and no statement of support for Israel there. Is that?
This used to be my field of study. It's called the defense death spiral. Defense systems get more and more complex. We buy fewer machines that are more difficult to maintain and don't work as well. Meanwhile, older systems have to limp along, often without enough spare parts. All this is driven by big five tech firms and their strategic manufacturing across many congressional districts as possible. Israel's government plane Zion Wing has taken off from the Ben Gurion airport. The aircraft did the same before the Iranian attacks in April and October last year. What is that? Is that fucking Benjamin Netanyahu's airplane? Do you think Iran will build a nuke? I think if Iran had nukes already, Israel wouldn't be able to blow Iran up like this. It would officially become a nation that, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do. But I feel like if they had a nuke, it would be over. And by that, I don't mean like they would nuke Tel Aviv. Of course not. Tommy Vitor with maybe the dumbest take of this entire ordeal. The U.S. and Iran are supposed to hold their 6th round of nuclear talks on Sunday. This is a massive fuck you by Netanyahu to Trump, and it completely undercuts all of Trump's claims that wars would never start if he was president. I don't get it. This guy worked with Barack Obama. He was his foreign policy guy. He was former Obama NSC staff. Like, why is he saying this? Norman Finkelstein, 2008. George Bush, the U.S. president, has called Iran and North Korea rogue states. Do you consider Israel a rogue state? It is more than a rogue state. It is more than a rogue state. It is a lunatic state. The only country in the world where the population overwhelmingly supports an attack on Iran is Israel. Mr. Bonicelli. Mr. Borelli. Mr. George W. Busharelli. You're lucky he doesn't have internet? Yeah. From the horse's mouth?
Of Israel, it's a crazy country. It's like a junkie. Every few years they go to war. They need their fix. They're lunatics. American Jews don't want to defend that.
Yeah, Israel is carrying on in a lunatic fashion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Was I that off? Maybe.
I would like to ask you.
And Hezbollah, who you went to meet?
I would like to ask you, name me another country in the world. 2003, Israel was the cheerleaders for the war in Iraq. 2006, it went into war in Lebanon. 2008, 2009, it attacked Gaza. Now it talks about attacking Iran. If you read the Israeli papers every day, they talk about, should we attack Gaza? Should we attack Lebanon? Should we attack Syria? Name me another country in the world that falls into that category.
Well,
that's a lunatic state.
Israel would point to a number of its neighbors and say exactly the same thing.
No, you show me how many countries. How many countries has Iran planned to attack? No, let's ask a simple question. How many countries in the last 10 years has Iran attacked?
When you look...
No, that's a fair question. How many countries in the last 10 years has Iran attacked?
When you look at the history of Israel, do you not have some sympathy or understanding, people would ask, as to why they feel threatened and why
we're not talking
they
about why they feel threatened. We're talking about a country that every 2 or 3 years goes to war. And if you follow the press as I do, every day they talk about let's attack this country, let's attack that country. That's not normal.
So,
and when I call the lunatic state...
why is it that the Israeli people vote in this government that you say is responsible?
No. It's just Israel's behavior doesn't change. So it kind of feels like it's Norm Finkelstein responding to something in real time, but actually it's from many, many years ago. This is why, like, you could point to most people who are knowledgeable about Israel's actions or Israel's history. You can point to any number of different criticisms that they've had about Israel at any point in time, and you'll be like, what the fuck? What is this? Is this a comparison? Is this like, when is this from? Is this from yesterday? And you will also say the same thing tomorrow and a year from now and 2 years from now. It's just, it's the same reason why you can look at my commentary from like 2016 about any number of different issues, whether it be Black Lives Matter, police brutality, the mistreatment of undocumented migrants, using them as a fucking red herring and mercilessly attacking them. And it is identical to what I say now, because unfortunately, things don't change. At least things don't change for the better. Things only change for the worse. It's the same problems that persist and perhaps get worse overall. No, this is not around the. This is around the time when Netanyahu won his first election in 1996. First election since 1996. Oh, okay.
Responsible for that.
I think it's a regrettable fact. I
don't
say these things with glee. I'm not happy about that fact. As the American economist and Nobel laureate Paul Krugman put it in the New York Times last week, he said it's perfectly obvious Israel's headed towards national suicide. It's become a crazy state. And he says it's not good for Jews, it's not good for the world where Israel is headed.
And yet it's still seen, of course, as the safe haven, the homeland for the Jews. Well, you have a right to live there, although you're banned.
Right.
Would you
I think that's a contradiction in terms, but we'll leave that aside.
You are sponsored by PBS. I am sponsored. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers. Your contributions are what keep maintaining my editorial independence. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for $6 a month or for free with the Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You too can show your support for the broadcast, or you can offer gifted subs to others in the chat. PBS, Piker Broadcasting Service. Thank you. Exclusive. Brett Baer spoke to President Trump by phone tonight following the start of the airstrikes. Here's what he said. President Trump was aware of the strikes beforehand. There were no surprises, but the U.S. was not involved militarily and hopes Iran will return to the negotiating table. What the fuck are you saying? Like, I can't be the only person that looks at this and thinks this is like the most schizophrenic way of dealing with issues, right? Like, this is insane. Hey, I just killed a bunch of your citizens, okay, by sicking my attack dog on you. And also, the one thing you told me was a red line, because the conversation that we're having is about the nuclear facilities and enrichment of uranium. My attack dog blew one of your nuclear facilities up and said it's going to keep blowing your facilities up. But we would love for you to return to the table. We would love to keep negotiating. I mean, this is like a fuck you. You know what I mean? This is just a fuck you. What are you going to do about it? It's disgraceful. President Trump, Iran can now have a nuclear bomb, and we are hoping to get back to the negotiating table. We will see. There are several people in leadership that will not be coming back. A reference to some of the Iranian leaders who were killed. Oh, yeah, it is a flex. Like, he's flexing. President Trump has spoken to Prime Minister Netanyahu several times in recent days. The Trump administration reached out to at least one key Middle Eastern ally to acknowledge that the strike was going to happen, but that the U.S. was not involved in the strikes, and the goal is to still get Iran back to the negotiating table. Breaking, American refueling planes took off from the El Udeid Air Base in Qatar and supplied fuel to the Israeli aircraft. More proof of U.S. involvement as they try to pretend their hands are clean. Don't let them. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the veracity of this, but I am not even remotely confused. I don't need to see this to be like, oh, wow, I can't believe the United States actually was involved in these attacks. Of course they were, you know. The Zion wing that departed is the government plane, by the way. They usually serves either BB or Herzog for official flights. All airspace is now closed. Yeah. Iran is going to retaliate. I just don't know when. Perhaps in the next 2 hours. Preparing for a response in the next 2 hours. Khomeini, Israel should expect severe punishment. I don't know. Of course you'd cast out being funded by